Yeah. Nobody was interested in West Virginia executives.
Is that what the name of it is?
Yes.
Oh, that's a horrible name.
Oh, yeah. So these are like, you know, the who's who of the businesses here in West Virginia. So, of course, I got to check it out. It's actually pretty helpful as far as politics go, because it's got like all this, like the pipeline corporations and coal, all of them. So,
Oops.
of course, I haven't had a chance to read them yet, or, you know, I haven't even had a chance to finish that Nina Turner interview that Tim did.
Oh, okay, it's a good one. I think there are a couple people that some of the things that were said were like, I don't know if we agree with that, but I mean, generally, what Nina says and what Tim says is pretty much spot on. Just a couple of these just weren't. So that's what I was worried a bit. Ooh, Robert, call in. That'd be
I
awesome,
just caught the
Rob.
last like 10 minutes of it.
All right, so I think that's updated correctly. Let's see, I'm missing something. Oh, okay. Don't mind me. I'm still figuring some stuff out. Whew. This is great. So, hey, Kelly.
Go. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. Wait, that's
Greg. He's
Greg.
here for the Burnstorm little gathering we had, and I was telling everybody about Tim's show and what you're doing after hours, what we're doing.
okay.
So,
Well,
anyway.
awesome. Welcome.
Yes, very informed, young and young-ish people.
Everybody's running away now, I think.
Hey, Bram.
You know, this is
We need
Chris.
more light on us here.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do. Might need to go in. We could go
Yeah, we can
in,
go.
maybe.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Just hang out on the couch. Here we go. So, what's the topic today?
I think we're gonna just talk about anything. I think when we get enough people, we might start with the ingredients stuff
Right?
and see if we really want to cook something up with those ingredients.
How's everyone doing this evening?
Good. Great.
Oh, no, I'll be back.
Oh, you're coming back? Okay,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Kelly has big news when she gets back.
Oh, we
Say
have
hi
guests.
to two guys on my couch that I just met. And there's Michael over here. Say hi. Your head in.
Hi, Ebon. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello there.
Cool chili pepper shirt, dude.
Welcome to our commune. We didn't bring cheesecake this meeting, but we at least brought cake.
Yes, okay, and Greg here, Aeolus, you'll have a great time talking to him. He's very informed. Young guy like you and Luke, but like knows so much.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, let's see. Sorry, don't mind me. I'm distracted doing a lot of stuff. So, if you see me just kind of like wandering, I'm not like crazy or anything. I'm just setting some stuff up.
No, it's cool. We have all the time in the world, although now that I think about it, I also have a shift tomorrow. Ah, heck with it.
I do too, but not until 10 a.m.
Mm.
I'll get some sleep.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's hotel cleaning duties. What could go wrong?
Yeah, we had a pretty good time up here. We started at about 7 o'clock. What do you think we had, Chris? Like 8 or so people show up?
Yeah.
It was
Maybe
pretty
9,
cool.
maybe 9,
It was
10.
really a lot like a lot like being back on the Bernie campaign. Just the kind of conversations you had. It's really a natural extension of the campaign. It feels like. You guys hear us okay?
So
Oh,
what are
that might be mine.
so what are your
Yeah.
thoughts of Bernie Sanders now compared to when he was running in the primary?
I mean, I feel like pretty much his whole life he's really been like the same guy and really with the same message, saying the same true things for all this time. I don't think there's a dramatic difference between campaign Bernie and now Bernie. Really, when I think a lot of us had a hard time listening to him was when he was trying to sell us on Hillary, basically. I mean, that's when he couldn't even like fill a high school gym. Everybody's nodding along now. Yeah, exactly.
I think in some senses too. I think what changed the most is us. Bernie. I mean, Bernie's at a point in his life where he won't really change all that much. But a lot of us, I could just speak for myself on this. I think I underwent a pretty significant political identification change throughout this election cycle, from a sort of wayward liberal to a social democrat, and now existing as sort of a libertarian socialist. I think my perception. So I don't know. I imagine a similar change, although maybe not quite as drastic, happened with a lot of Bernie supporters as well. It's just once we started the radical analysis, we just found ourselves going further and further down the rabbit hole. So I think it's less, to some degree, it's less that whether or not Bernie changed as so much as how our perspective changed, as in part thanks to Bernie waking us up.
Mm-hmm.
We radicals love our purity test, don't we?
We're not going down the rabbit hole, but it's the rabbit hole of truth.
Exactly.
I've never heard of social libertarian, by the way. That's a new one on me.
Yeah, just libertarian left. I mean,
Socialist
I
libertarian?
think he said libertarian socialist.
Yes. Yeah. It's so libertarian. So technically, we were the ones that came up with the term libertarian first. The ANCAP stole it from us.
Yeah, I mean, I think of myself as on the libertarian left, and I think that's where most Bernie supporters are going to fall.
Right.
Like your spectrum is over to the left it's left and right on economics, right? And then it's up or down in terms of like authority. So you go left, you're lefty on economics, more socialist. You go right, you're more conservative on economics, and you're more like pro-business. But then when you go up, it's authoritarian. It's like, I mean, Trump is
right.
an example. He loves
the
the
four-
authority thing, and then down is libertarian, more like let's just have freedom. So
Right.
like if you're like extreme down left, you're like like a socialist anarchist or something, right?
Yeah, that's what libertarian socialism pretty much is. It's anarcho-socialism. Although I don't consider myself a part of any particular sect like anarcho-communism or syndicalism. I'm kind of non-denominational right now.
Syndicalism is what Chomsky kind of is pretty big on, right? Or is he still?
Yeah. It's syndicalism is the school he belongs to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Chomsky.
But he does. But to my understanding, he also does borrow from certain anarcho-communist writings like Kropotkin and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a fun little circle. Although it's once you sort of adopt that as a framework, you're kind of left with some really bad choices from that perspective, just right from the get-go. But I look at it as I have a natural skepticism towards authority, but let's see if we can get it to use that to get them to clean their own act up. And if I can't, then okay, well, you get to get boot. You get to get the boot. Sorry, you had your go.
Nationally, the Democrats have noticed all of us people voting left when they are, we're still moving right. I think, if things were little bit more natural, there's a little more natural state about us. And then the Democrats would move left to meet us.
Quiet on that keyboard, Bram. Sorry, go ahead, Bram. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
Yes, but unfortunately, I don't think things are as natural as they used to be, and I think that there's a lot of power with media and manipulating public opinion or something like that. They can just sort of like adjust and make adjustments where they want in people's perception. So like, I think they're playing a game of chicken with us. I mean, you would think that the Democratic Party would be like, oh, we want to win, we don't want to lose, we don't want to be down and out for like indefinite future and things like that, but they just playing a game of chicken with us. They're just ignoring us and expecting us to just go f off and come back around, or just like really just the other option is just to fuck off and I don't know. It's just like it's a messed up thing. I mean, I just feel like they're pushing people, not accepting anything really liberal and real liberal, and then they're calling everybody radicals. So it's like, it's kind of messed up, man. I mean, it's just kind of a messed up thing. That's my take.
Yeah, this world gets harder and harder to figure out.
I think the important thing is, and what we all need to do, is come together and decide what are the things that we want most, and then work for those. And I think it starts at the local level. If we can all start, running for local office, be it city council or what have you, at least then we're making strides in terms of taking back our government, because it's ultimately the goal. And I think at the local level is where we can make the most difference, because at that level we have more control over what goes on, because the polling places are all local anyway, and if we can gather support locally and basically one precinct to the next, I think that's our best shot.
So you're talking within the Democratic Party? Because I mean, without
I'm talking it irregardless of party.
Okay, but I mean, like right now there's the imposter doppelganger Democrats that are in the way. They're wearing all the
campaign based on our values. It shows that it works. You know what I mean? And so without knowing more about a particular how a person's going to vote, anybody going in without a record of some sort is going to have a disadvantage.
The Democratic Party is willing to compromise everything from the regular merits or qualities of democracy for our country's national image, from I mean, you name it, like the free press, every single thing, policies on whistleblowers, there's just so many things that they were willing to disregard or throw care to the wind about, for their victory, for their momentary, victory. It was just, I don't know, what values? Our values are in shambles as liberals.
I mean, I'm not a liberal. That one never quite fit to me. Progressive sounded better, but leftist, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think that there's, like I say, you have to figure out what you're gonna stand behind, what you think is important, and you're gonna get, if you get half of it, you're doing really well, And at this point, it's not that incrementalism is what I'm talking about. I'll take it all at once if we can get it. It's just, you're gonna have to, maybe not even fit. We're at a point now where we got to get 85 back, at least for everything that we make a deal on. We have to get 85% better return on our stuff. You know what I mean?
I think like
they
Brent
get to 15.
Have to find out what we really most value, but then also that has to be something that's realistic. So that has to be something that's I think, in my point of view, if you want to make it happen, it has to be something much like a Bernie platform, just a tinge, a slight bit left of the Democratic Party, but important amount left, and then make sure that's like fundamentally like common sense and going to be broadly appealing, and then there you go, put a bow on it, it's done. But if you go anything goes, radical whateverism, even if that succeeded, then you might open the door for some other forces to do crazy radical things, which could push us in the opposite direction. But we already have. I mean, we have good principles. We have good.
We're already at a radical end of the scale.
Exactly.
I mean, anything that would be considered radical right now would be a correction.
Yes.
And so I don't know. I mean, it's not that I'm saying that a radical. I'm not saying that it's possible. I'm just saying if it could happen at school, but I'm also the kind of guy that I've got to fight with whatever weapons we got, and we don't got a whole lot of good people out there in front of us, so we got to pick and choose carefully.
Right. I see it this way. We're fighting over things that I honestly believe are ridiculous. We're fighting over universal health care. We're fighting over lower rates for college tuition. We're fighting over a clean environment. These are things that we should already have. Why are we? To me, this is absurd. And these are things that are being considered radical. That's insane. These are things that we should already have. It pisses me off that these are things that we're fighting for. I think we need to completely change our perspective on this and look at it in terms of what is the ultimate society we want to have, and start actively pushing for these things. Because the crumbs that they're giving us, I'm sorry, that's not enough. It's just not. We are at a precipice in terms of our environment right now, and we can't afford incrementalism.
Yep.
You're speaking my language. The environment's my biggest issue. So, but I mean, I think maybe even politically, even though since the parties are so status quo or whatever, and centrist or neoliberal or corporate liberal, I don't know. Since the parties are what they are, then politically it might be a little bit radical to be all about the environment or want to do some fundamental things to protect the environment. But I think like the general consciousness or like the common consensus is just like that. That's not too radical. Kind of like what you're suggesting, that it's not so radical. And the same thing with healthcare. But there are genuinely radical ideas, such as a radical anarchism or something, or such as even the UBI is pretty radical. So, it's just, I don't think that I think if you say we're going to ban gasoline in cars, you're not going to win. I mean, I do believe in incrementalism. So.
If we believe in incrementalism, then honestly, we're dead. We are dead.
Excuse me.
We can't afford incrementalism. We're at a point where incrementalism gets everybody killed.
Well, that's what I was saying last night about.
Hold on, let Kevin go.
Oh, sorry.
If you go completely radically, you might get nothing, or you have status quo. So those are the two choices. So incremental is better.
Okay, then we've got maybe a couple of years.
But at that point,
hold on, please. Let Kevin go.
Oh, sorry.
Whoever was talking about incrementalism is good. What incrementalism has produced anything whatsoever good over the past 40 to 50 years? Unless you count military expansion and making people poor, making people get less.
The National Endowment for the Arts, they used to have these laws against one media company owning everything. That was a positive progressive law. It was civil rights. There were
okay, Ben, let Kevin keep going. He's got
I did not hear what he said. Could you just repeat that, please, but just tell me the specific incident where an improvement happened.
Anytime. It's undeniable.
Ben, I had trouble hearing. Can you repeat that?
I didn't get any of that.
Has been progress socially, social issues. To, you know, we have an awesome mission. We have like good things in our past. Great, you know, great strides. You know,
any examples?
I believe that we're not really living up to a real exceptionalism, as Dave Chappelle said. Like that, you know, I think
real, solid, physical actions.
I think that if we really want to be like leading the world and have the image of.
All right, Ben. Wait up. All right, Stevie, go ahead.
Probably lead the way with the environment right now.
So basically, like, incrementalism would work, because, you know, anything in the right direction would be good, except for the fact that, like, if there's a giant asteroid coming towards the Earth and it's going to hit Texas, if you slowly move your way out of Texas, that's good. You're almost out of the blast zone. But if you don't make it out of Texas, it doesn't matter if you incrementally go towards the right thing. You're still going to end up in the path of the asteroid. So, like, I kind of see where, like, incrementalism would be good. But in this case, like, we're past that point. We got to get the hell out of Texas, you know?
I think the bigger problem is I don't know. That analogy, I don't know. That it wouldn't matter if it could wipe out Texas.
Right.
It's going to blow up the planet.
Okay, go. We couldn't hear you, Aelos. Wait for everyone to stop, then go. Okay, Aelos, and then go ahead, Broken Carpenter.
Well, I think that's a good analogy. Although, you know, the one caveat I'd have is that if it has enough power to obliterate Texas in one go, it probably has enough power to extinguish the vast majority of life on the planet. Now, I agree with that too. No, but to your point, be serious. Yes, I think you make an excellent point. There is a limit to how much incrementalism can get you before it leads you to an untenable situation. I made the comment to a Hillary supporter on Facebook when I was trying to discuss the whether or not a revolution or, you know, any sort of radical approach was necessary for the current situation we find ourselves in. And I made the comment that yes, incrementalism, or I guess pragmatism was the word he used. Pragmatism is perfectly fine to take some prudence. You don't want to just waste all your resources on Hail Mary strategies that have a limited chance of succeeding if you can avoid it. But in the situations that you can't avoid it, and the situations in which you're just miring yourself in defensive postures in order to keep things from getting worse, there comes a point when pragmatism stops being a path forward, and it just starts becoming a euphemism for we're just trying to keep things the way they are.
Yeah, I mean, basically pragmatism, I'm just way too familiar with it. It's what kept my state in a perpetual, you know, cycle of poverty for the past 100 years. So usually when people say pragmatism, it's just like, it gives me the heebie-jeebies, you know?
Yeah, and
there is a good point. There is, but you still have to be pragmatic in some way. Yeah.
I don't know if those people misunderstood me. I wasn't talking pragmatism. You know, I figure we fight for the most radical thing, and you know, we push. What we're doing is we're pushing a big freaking boulder, man. So we got to push for the most radical thing. You got to set your face, put your back into it. Otherwise, it ain't going to move at all. So it's a matter of winning back. It's like winning back territory kind of thing. You know, I mean, yeah, we like Occupy. Occupy happens, and you know, right after the bank crash, people kind of forgot about the bank part of it, but they didn't forget about wealth inequality. And that sort of stuck, the 99% sort of stuck in people's minds, and it paved the way for Bernie. You know, I mean, it's like over the long run, you're going to be happier if you fight for the most radical thing and, you know, and look for where you're getting change.
Yep.
And you know, and you know, and be very strict in sort of your ethics and stuff, but you know, don't be so cynical that you would never give anybody a chance to prove you wrong. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a way to be healthy.
The people left of the Democrats are the Greens, and they are people like me who just want to be not so far as the Greens, and like sort of just a little bit further left. And so I don't know. It sucks that we're divided. Even the people who are past leftward of, I mean, but it's just natural, you know. People are going to have the different opinions. But me, I think that we should make a party, or like our constituency here who retains. I think a lot of us, majority of us, retain a liberal, basic. I don't know, perspective or inclination or something like that, and make a party that really based on common sense, based on, you know, pragmatic but progressive and changing goals, like changing things a little bit, goals, realistic ones and the most important ones first, as Bram was saying. Let's decide what those are and do that and whatever, and one that puts the Democratic Party to shame, because they're so messed up and so goofy and so off of it and disconnected and wrong right now. So, but if you go way left and radical, then they're gonna flick you off, fend you off like flies. You'll do nothing to them. They're easily just gonna make you look absurd and silly and you know, too idealistic, too hippie, too dreamy, whatever. So like that's it seems obvious to me that you just need to we just need to kind of step to the left, not leap, even though that might be good. I'm not saying that's not good. I'm just saying it's not gonna get you. It's not gonna. What would make a third party gain crazy excitement and crazy momentum is if it was like Bernie did. If it was like actually, it seemed realizable. It seemed like most people like, okay, here's a candidate not very many people know, but let's spread the word around about this grassroots or whatever new third party or candidate. Well, like if their policy is based on something very, very realistic and that we all understand would be broadly appealing to most people, like voters, then you know, that would be something people could get excited and to say, I'm going to go vote. I'm going to go vote for the first time, kind of a thing. It could really rally people, and then that word could spread it like buzz, like wildfire, you know. And that's a real possibility in this kind of moment, like what Tim was saying or anything. But you know, going way left, I don't get the actual. If you can go join the Greens and get 1%, I mean, that's fine. But you know, if you want to be really, you could still stand up and be about like really solid liberal lefter principles and not go that far. And I see that as the way.
All right, Stevie.
Here's the question.
Can Stevie go first and then you, Bram?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just like one last thing. I mean, just to kind of go to my point last night about like the physics of it, is like we need a giant force to combat the power that's keeping us oppressed. So what we need to do is like we got to look at how can we get the most amount of people on our side to fight it and be able to do it within the amount of time that needs to be done. So basically what we have to do is set goals that are that seem attainable to the vast majority of people, but at the same time, like still have it within the time frame of, you know, before the whichever apocalypse, choose, you know, which one, basically.
Yeah. Choose your death button.
Here's my point. If you take a look at the platforms, if you compared Bernie's next to Jill Stein's, they are nearly identical, almost point for point identical. There is nothing radical about what she was pushing for. Jill Stein's platform made a ton of sense, and the reason why so many of us who supported Bernie had no problem getting behind Jill is because her platform mirrored Bernie's. It wasn't radical. It was pretty much the same thing he was calling for.
Fine, but it's not.
The one thing that really set her platform apart, in my view, and why I gravitated toward it so quickly, was her Green New Deal, which is something I've actually sat in some lectures on in Germany when I was taking economics. It would completely transform our economy in a very short period of time and rally the rest of the world behind it because of the way that it would march our economy forward in a very short period of time and in a very environmentally friendly way. That's exactly what we need.
Yep.
So, new guys. Okay. Hold on, Kevin. So, Kelly, I forget who's who, and do you guys want to introduce yourselves a little bit more? And anything you want to chime in with?
My name's Chris Montel. I'm a father of 3 little ones, and I'm a reluctant entrepreneur via my wife. But I was I woke up about 1.5 years ago, and I volunteered for Bernie, and after the election, I've been depressed since July of last year. People were so apoplectic about Trump. I was like, yeah, I'm still there. I don't really care. But now we're all here together because of Draft Bernie, and first thing where I said, this is a possibility. Like, I don't know about Bernie in 2020. I don't really care if he's president, but his ideas have breathed life into, at least for me and millions of people. And I think if he says, yes, I'm in it for a People's Party or whatever we want to call ourselves, that would be to redneck economics over here. It would be so huge, and it would galvanize so many people across the country. I just hope that something like that works out. But if it doesn't, we really need to build. We need to work on this coalition amongst DSA and the Greens, and even we were talking about in our meeting tonight. There's plenty of working class Republicans out there who are interested in the message as well. So yeah, I'm all aboard, all the way to the grave. There's Greg.
Yeah, I'm Greg. I'm from right here in North Carolina, and I showed up for this Draft Bernie thing. I guess the first in-person event I've been to for Draft Bernie, and it was pretty awesome. Like I said a few minutes ago, it really just, being with people like this really just feels like a logical extension of the Sanders campaign. And I think a lot of us probably feel like, with the way the primary was set up, rigged, and just the way it went, we really, ultimately, the fact was, for the primary, we just didn't have enough time. If we had had more time to appeal to Americans, Bernie would have won, and then Bernie would have won the general, obviously. I mean, Stevie here knows, I'm sure she's seen the clip of Bernie in the, I don't know, it's like a gym or whatever in West Virginia, where room full of proud Trump voters are losing their minds cheering for the most progressive agenda you can imagine across the line, Yeah, it's amazing. And that's the kind of thing that people need to understand, is that people, and we talked about this a lot tonight, is that there are people who voted for Obama twice, but then voted for Trump. It's not like there's no reasons that they would have done that. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way to defend a vote for Trump, but people voted for Obama on hope and change. People voted for a new deal, really, a new economy based around actual people. And they voted for something really progressive, and they just didn't get it when they actually saw the guy govern. I mean, he took office and he basically disbanded his own coalition, and he's like, I'll take it from here. But I mean, he really didn't do a lot of the great things that so many people expected. And Ben, a few minutes ago, mentioned, I believe he said something about the Green New Deal or something to that effect, and said, people will get out and vote for that even if they're voting for the first time. That's absolutely true. Something a lot like that just happened in the UK with Jeremy Corbyn, when Labour took so many seats in this special election that Theresa May calls because she thinks she's going to increase her majority. And I saw someone on Twitter say, the best thing. They said, Theresa May seems to have done the political equivalent of stepping on a garden rake. And I thought that was
well, and just put that into perspective. Jeremy Corbyn pulled that off while his own party was trying to sabotage his leadership.
While the media was smearing him day in, day out, 24/7 for months. As the media attacked him, his polls went up, up, up. Because they have a similar situation over there. They have terrible media. They don't trust the media, just like we don't trust the media here. And similar like on the opposite end of the spectrum, you kind of saw thing happen with Trump as happened with Corbyn. As the media bashed and attacked him constantly, he just went up in the polls.
Yep. Well, and to make it into, and I don't like giving our media too much credit, but at least they didn't publish a 25,100 word fan fiction about how Bernie Sanders was going to destroy America.
Well, the Washington Post printed like 12 articles and
16
in 16 hours.
16 hours.
Yeah.
About
so there was that.
Yeah. And I was at that rally here. And it was amazing. I was at that rally and it was electric because I remember he said, you know, climate change is real. Everybody here wants to deny climate change to politicians. And he came here and he said, climate change is real. It is man-made. And people lost their minds.
Room full of Trump voters.
Yeah, and I think all 55 counties here went for Bernie Sanders in the primary, but then they flipped for Trump. I mean, that just shows you people are much more aware of how crappy the situation is than what the media wants to let on.
And as for the radicalism thing, like I don't even know, I'm not sure exactly how radical got brought up, but I think I mostly err with anybody who's saying radical is what we need, because I can't think of anything more radical than children drinking poisoned public water in the wealthiest nation the world has ever seen. I can't think of anything more radical from Stephen King. That's unacceptable, and we all think it's unacceptable. The people in West Virginia think it's unacceptable. The people in California think it's unacceptable. The people in D.C. who are regular people think it's unacceptable. I mean, the people that we have like the most disagreement with, nobody wants these kids drinking filthy water, but apparently when it saves a buck, it's anything's on the chopping block, including Cleveland. Yeah. That's radical. And wanting universal health care and these things, that's not radical. That's just common sense. To me, in my view, as Bernie likes to say, Bernie is the pragmatist. Bernie is the guy that's trying to make meaningful change, and it's not radical at all. And you look at like international politics, and the guy's basically just like a milquetoast lefty. He's pretty basic. He just wants obvious things. Anyway, go ahead, Ben, or whoever.
All right, Kevin, were you trying to get in, say something? Okay, maybe not. Ben, were you going to say something?
Well, that's a good point, though. That's a good point about the whole, like, basically turning the concept around about radicals. I hand it to you on that one. I just was going to say it's expensive, but it's vital infrastructure that absolutely people want, I would say. In Portland, I just looked for the article. It says $500 million now. But the initial article, I'm pretty sure it said $700 million was going to be the estimated cost for the water plant treatment here in Portland, because the crypto thing is too high here. So, it's going to be expensive. And but yeah, I mean, we have to mind it, right? We have to absolutely
do it. We've got the money for anything we want, man. We've been in Afghanistan for 16 years and counting. I just saw something earlier about how our Defense Secretary Mattis is saying.
We're just getting started.
Just getting started. Yeah, we're just getting started, guys. 16 years. I don't know.
That's a start.
Maybe 32 years is the real proper amount of time for a war. Maybe we're just like halfway there.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm 22 years old. I haven't known America not at war. Have any of you, anybody remember peace?
What's that?
I'm 45. I was in the Navy for 10 years. I remember peace. It's been a while.
And it was pseudo peace. That didn't mean we weren't overthrowing governments in South America. It didn't mean we weren't doing all kinds of shady black site shit that we always have done, and that's one of the things that needs to be radically changed.
And then you ruin it like that.
No, I mean, but what I was going to chime in here and say that it's a matter of, okay, it's Stevie's physics, okay? We're on one side of this boulder and we could bore through it. That's, labor intensive. We're all gonna, it's dangerous. Blowing it up, stupid, gonna get somebody hurt.
We love bombs.
So you move, you look for a lever, and it depends. Right now, the lever is sort of mass media. To some extent, it's being able to control the media and money, and we don't have either one of those on our side. So, I mean, it's basically, so we have a shorter lever, so that just means we have to have more people on our side of the lever, on our side of the ball, on the lever. We have more weight to move the rock. It's it's physics. So it's like we got to either move the boulder with more people or move the boulder with a longer lever. And the longer lever is when you walk into a room full of people in West Virginia and you tell them that they're getting sick because of this, and you talk to them about the issues that are happening to them. And you explain, and I am of the opinion that the way we sort of argue our side is we argue for a higher minimum wage. We argue for, we go to these places where these guys that switch back and forth to Trump and otherwise, we go to these places and we basically say, it's going to be, it's in your interest. We're gonna hire people to stop mining. The few people that are left that actually are mining, and we're gonna put them to work cleaning this up. And we're gonna pay for it, and we're gonna get as much money out of coal bastards as we can on the way out. And you say something like that, and those people in West Virginia understand that. You go to Allentown, Pennsylvania, Bethlehem, and you walk in there and you say, we're going to buy American steel, and we're going to fire this up. We're going to do it environmentally friendly.
All right, Kevin wants to say something.
Yeah, we're going to figure out a way to keep you in work. We're going to use the manpower we have here to rebuild America. And that's kind of the idea.
All right. Go ahead, Kevin. Kevin, we can't hear you. Never mind. He says never mind. Sorry.
So I was just thinking about the founding fathers and like how they did, some of them did the library, right? Invented the library. I thought that was a pretty cool visionary concept besides the obvious ones. And just I think that people back then, if you had to move, we were such an instantaneous culture. We talk about not having cell phone, but there was a time before all of it, and people in seafaring days, or people leaving home, never going to go back probably to their European whatever homeland, and basically it took a lot of vision, I think, and a lot of dreaming and a lot of hope. And so I just think that people should be after that and sort of be inspired by, so not just saying don't let's go with the status quo. I think that's what the Democrats are doing. I think that's the problem. It's let's just leave everything the same. Everything caters to the people who have lobbyists, and then everyone else is SOL. And that's, thank you.
Yeah.
So backtracking a bit, because chat seems to be going on it. What did you guys think about Nina Turner's interview with Tim Black?
I haven't actually watched it yet.
I saw it. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't agree with everything she had to say. I think that the main problem, or the main issue I had is where she talked about how many seats Democrats have lost over the last few years, but she didn't really touch on why. And I think if you leave that out of the narrative, it just makes it sound like these are races that we should have won. But what it neglects to take into account is the fact that a lot of these seats were lost because these were Republican-like candidates. These weren't people who were really going to work for their constituents. These were people who were already bought and paid for by the lobbyists and corporations. Of course they lost. If you've got a strong Republican who's running against a Republican-like type candidate, the Republican's going to win. I mean, and she didn't mention that at all, and I think that's a big problem. And the fact that we have somebody like Nina who doesn't want to talk about it, it's kind of disturbing, to be honest.
What about Jeff Weaver? Did you guys have any thoughts on Jeff Weaver?
I heard something about Jeff Weaver today that gave me pause. I heard that there was like a group within our revolution that, okay, I'm seeing nodding heads, so I guess I'm on the right track here. Within our revolution that that decided to leave, I guess, because they wanted to take corporate money. And you were talking about that at the draft or anything, it came up, and my immediate response was, okay, well, we need to all like know by heart the names of those people so we can recognize them when we see them. And I heard that Jeff Weaver was one of those. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Yeah. I've heard some of that too. I have not been able to confirm it. I have heard a little of that. I haven't been able to look further into it yet.
Well, when that's verified for me, I think I'm done with Jeff Weaver, if that answers the question. But I mean, I know he was Bernie's like big campaign manager and everything. That's cool, but it's really strange that he would be wanting to take corporate money at all if he was big with the Sanders campaign. I don't know. Maybe it turns out not to be true because that really doesn't seem to add up. But I don't know exactly. I guess I need to look into it. Anybody else?
One other thing. I've read some reports about it, and it seems to be accurate. Is that there was some kind of behind the scenes deal between Jeff Weaver and Hillary's campaign to kind of stifle the revolt that took place during the convention. And that seems to actually be accurate. So I don't know. There are some things about Jeff Weaver that I'm pretty skeptical about. He's somebody we can really trust.
What? Sorry?
Has Bernie said anything recently about any of this, or Jeff, or
no?
No, I mean, Bernie hasn't said a thing.
To that point, Bram, I remember when Senator Sanders was primarying Hillary Clinton for the presidential race, that he was saying up to the convention it's not over. So he's going to fight all the way to the convention, and at the convention he is going to keep going.
He stopped.
Yeah, and then at the convention he's like, "Oh, Hillary's the nominee. She's," and he was on board with her, and I was like, "What just happened here?" And I think everyone's just.
I think it was two things. This is my honest opinion. I think it was two things. I think it was one. I think it was Jeff Weaver, kind of being pulled to the side, and I think the other thing is that Bernie was threatened. I truly believe that Bernie was threatened here.
Threatened with violence.
Long game.
I don't know. I don't know exactly with what, but I do believe that the man was threatened because when he came out and conceded, the look on his face, it looked like a man who had just basically had his soul crushed. It didn't look right.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine why. We all can. I just feel like he didn't necessarily even have to be threatened directly. I mean, he's based on his own words about it. He just didn't want to end up the next Nader. He didn't want to be demonized for the rest of his life and beyond, and just dragged through the mud and just stomped on like Nader was by the Democratic Party.
I don't see why he would think that way with Nader. He did run as a third-party candidate to let Trump win.
Right. I mean, he was far too kind to them. I think we probably all agree with that. He was too kind to Hillary. If anything, he was only on the substance. He was constantly being asked by these terrible garbage TV news reporters, leading questions to try to get him to just attack Hillary, and he wouldn't even do it at all.
Will you endanger the poor, Bernie?
Yeah, what'd you say?
Will you endanger the poor, Bernie? Are you about to endanger the poor people, Bernie?
Yeah, that's Bernie, all right. But yeah, I mean, they tried so hard to get him to just flip out and attack Hillary, and he wouldn't do it. He was so...
I won't talk about no damn emails.
He was such a gentleman throughout the entire campaign, like to the point I wish he had gone harder. I think many of us do. But he just...
I truly believe he was too gracious.
He was, yeah.
He was. He tried to take the high road, and you had one candidate that was trying to take the high road and play by the rules, and the other candidate that didn't give a shit about either one.
She was
so, you know, and on top of that, you know, also, you know, if you remember, like, I mean, they were really pushing the Trump is the next Hitler narrative when this was all happening, which I think that was also played a factor in it because, I mean, didn't Bernie have close relatives that actually died in the Holocaust? So that was very real and tangible to him. It wasn't just something that happened in the past. Like, that directly impacted him. So I think he had a very real fear of Trump, and it kind of blinded him as to, like, Hillary's dangers, you know?
Yeah, and I think he probably actually did believe that she could win. Like, by the time he backed her, I think, you know, like, who here really feels like they totally predicted that Trump would win, for real? Because I did not. I
posted it on my Facebook page, pretty much.
You know, I believe it. I mean, some people did, but most people did not. I mean, the narrative all across the country was, I mean, even if it's getting closer in the polls, whatever, I mean, it's Hillary. Hillary's going to win this thing. I expected her to win, too, and I was I mean, I was kind of surprised initially, like right after the fact, but then when I really started thinking about it, I really started like listening to the commentary of like people that I really respect and trust. It started to quickly make a lot of sense to me that Trump won and that he flipped some of these states, and that, I mean, Hillary didn't even campaign in Michigan, didn't even set foot.
I honestly assumed that she had it completely rigged and that it was already in the bag. I really didn't think that Trump stood a chance.
Yeah.
But the DNC had not one but two chair people who did some function. So it was like if they would have not had the second occurrence, if they would have seriously fired people, seriously changed things, seriously like penalized or like, you know, gave a warning, like if this happens again, see, then it happened again. So like nothing happened. And instead, you know, it's this huge bunch of rigmarole, convoluted nonsense, which up until just now is beginning to sort of fizzle out, but the damage is done. Yeah. Like so many people are impressed by all this crap, and I don't know.
Right. Kevin, you were saying something, but you got drowned out.
Oh, hello.
Yep.
Well, he was saying how he thought Hillary would win and all, but it's all you gotta do is like look back 10 minutes all through the Northeast, like Michigan, all around there, what Clinton's end up doing, you know, with the whole. I mean, they're between down in Flint, basically, you just have crazy cops. I mean, that's as far as you can say. I just avoid there. Oh God, how do you? I mean, Hillary pushed that crime bill. She defended a rapist.
Yep.
She lied about a server in her basement. She, that's recent. She defended her own husband lying and calling the one, what was her name? What was about the whole blowjob and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then Bill Clinton perjury for lying, and then doesn't he serve out the rest of his term too? Or does he get? I forgot. I'm not sure about that one. What happened?
Yeah,
he served the rest of it, right?
Yep.
He got impeached for perjury when he served out the rest of his term. I think that's what it was. It just the amount of crap, and you think she was gonna win? Like really? It's like I mean, personally don't have a super hatred for. I have a incredibly strong dislike. Everything I find just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. You know, like the rabbit hole never ends. And everybody I know around here, if you it's like, oh, how are the Democrats, or how's Clinton? They just freak the fuck out. You know, they're like, they'll go on a, like, some of the older people will literally just, like, if you try to just talk to them, you know, they'll just, like, it's triggered, you know what I mean? Just like they freak the fuck out. It's weird as hell.
I think you're definitely right, Kevin, that in the sense that when you look back on the election, and the polling data is a big thing, but combined with the polling data, you got to look at the campaign that they ran.
They were lying. They were lying on the polling data, because that's all crap. Really, we shouldn't be believing any of their polls at all, and none of the media at all, and fucking just literally go out there and start doing our own goddamn poll and making well, just, you know, find some way that would be more accurate doing it that way. They'll never be, and they predicted she's gonna win by what was it, like 30 points or something like that at one point, anywhere from like 12 to 30 in the primaries. It was just crazy shit, and then by like so they were wrong, like 30 close to 30 points off. You know what I mean? Absolutely fucking atrocious. Like, really. And then when I don't know, you probably listened to somebody saying it sounds a mess.
Well, with the polling data, I mean, the average of polls overall, it was really, Trump was closing that gap for months and months. So you look back at them, and it seems pretty consistent with what ended up happening. And they tend to be a decent prediction of the outcome. But I mean, some were definitely like total hacks, and they were talking nonsense and injecting their opinions in and everything. But just the aggregate, the average of all these polls coming together, like by the time November came around, they were pretty much dead tied, like according to pretty much any numbers you could find, and then Trump won. I think looking back, it seems pretty reasonable that he ended up pulling off the upset that he did. But for like Republicans to have taken everything the way they did, and to take the big majority and just wipe out the Democrats basically, that might have been a little more difficult to predict. But if you look at how they ran their campaigns and just how unpopular Hillary is, it might not be
that phenomenon of the losing ground everywhere.
Look at hey.
Yeah.
All right, let Ben go, and then okay, go ahead, Kevin.
I think it is sort of easy to perceive or like understand why that happened, why they lost seats across the board, just because the president gets people most excited, because, you know, notoriously most people just turn up then, and they're just most excited for the president, and they just weren't excited this time. And so that's how that happened. I mean, we get excited about the president. It's kind of, there's definitely fault in that, but, you know, it's because it's the most far-reaching impact of any single vote.
And it's definitely important not to forget about Obama there too, because I think really if Obama hadn't been out there trying to be the champion of the TPP, Hillary maybe could have pulled off that election. I mean, does anybody know a human being who's like super excited about the TPP? Like, everybody hates it across the board. Left, middle.
Well, all right.
Let Broken Carpenter go. He's had his hand raised for like 5 minutes. Sorry.
That's all right, man. I knew Hillary wasn't going to beat Donald Trump back last year, or, you know, the year 2015, you know, and that's why Bernie was so great. I knew that he could win, but I also knew everything was fixed. And then we found out with the WikiLeaks it was. And so the idea that Donald Trump could beat Hillary Clinton has just zero excitement factor. And, you know, much like I think Kevin, your phone's really dropping out bad, brother. Anyhow, the how much, you know, you got to remember the 90s. None of that, a lot of that almost stuck because it was almost true about Hillary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that it's like everything about the Clintons. They're not guilty of things, okay? That doesn't mean they're innocent. It just means they're not guilty of things. And after a while, having a long record of not guilty of things, people start thinking you're not innocent, or you're not, at least maybe you might be guilty of something. So plus she knows how to turn people off and how to give a lawyerly answer that's 8 minutes long when a simple yes or no would be better.
Well, the more she talks, the less people like her.
Well, she thinks she's being all wonky and shit, and she's not being wonky. She's not fighting for something. She's given up half the loaf at the very beginning, saying this is all we can get. And so when you actually go in to negotiate, it's like union negotiations. You know, union negotiations work because people stick together and say, no, we're gonna hold out, and we're gonna make a deal here of some sort. And there may be give and take, but the union's looking to get the take part because they're there to represent the workers. And so the idea of walking into the negotiations and starting to give away things before you even start, which is what happened with Obama. You know, you ask why the Democrats can't win. Well, you got Nancy Pelosi that took impeachment off the table for war criminal Dick Cheney and George W. Bush. You know, you got their half-ass right-wing, healthcare plan. You know, you keep on half-assing things, and people start to think you're not on their side. And and lo and behold, when the WikiLeaks come out, we find out that Citigroup picked Barack Obama's cabinet. So I really think we're all on the right page here, man. We're on the right page. We're thinking the right direction and trying to, and it's like I say, we're going and we're pushing something that's pretty freaking big. But I think we got more people, and I think we got the facts on our side. The people are on our side on things like Medicare for all, and for things that are a basic safety net that allow people to create and thrive. And I think this country could use a little bit of that. Besides some rebuilding, it needs some creating and thriving. And to do that, we need peace. And that comes with our list of things that we insist on. But we can't pay for anything while we're paying for forever wars that we're fighting for Saudi Arabia and Israel. When it comes right down to it, we're paying in blood and treasure to protect their interest, and instead of cutting deals against them with the Iranians, and, let's negotiate with them. And, the Israelis are going to have to suck it up a little bit and accept the 68 borders, and we're just going to go back to square one. Let these people rebuild and let them, try to have a society before we start bitching about it. People not be, people being terrorist crap. You bomb the shit out of my neighborhood every few years, and I'd get a kind of attitude too, So
Sir Chad, go ahead next. All right, go ahead. Sir Chad, go ahead.
Oh, what's going on, fellas?
Hey,
everyone, ladies. I totally agree with the Hillary thing, and I think it kind of brings it back home with the whole we were talking about the Nina Turner, Tim Black interview. I watched it. I guess, can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
All right. I guess because, I mean, Hillary cheated, obviously. The establishment cheated. DNC, they were in bed with the media. They're still in bed with the media. These are, you know, the super elite, you know, creating the narrative for everybody. I think everybody on all sides kind of agrees with that, except for some reason, you know, far left people don't. Some miss it. But I think that's really what I want to hear from, especially the Democratic establishment, is Hillary cheated, the DNC cheated, and it's like there's certain words, there's certain because there was the one segment where Tim had brought up where he felt like it was, the word he used was that it was bias, you know, was bias against Bernie Sanders, that he didn't say, you know, cheated, or he didn't say, so, you know, I understand, you know, the way it works is that, you know, if you go too far, if you speak too much, or you say it in a certain way, then they're going to blackball you. Like they give you pretty much parameters if you're going to be in the party or whatnot, if you're going to play their party politics. And whatever industry it is you have these parameters that you can go in without, you know, upsetting people. So I wasn't impressed. I didn't feel like, I mean, I love Nina Turner. You know, I believe it's like Bernie Sanders. I believe that, you know, he means well but whatever reason, he's too close. It's like people within their own system don't like to do the real pointing fingers and calling people out because they're within it. It's like every group is like, they don't want to call out their damage because they know somebody personally. So it's like that's where I'm, you know. And then you guys were talking about, and then it brings us to that point about, you know, Republicans or Democrats, or I guess label. And I know Ebon was talking about it. I think the best way to do it is to have people go independent. That way, nobody owns their vote, and it makes people feel more, you know, for solid on, you know, because it's all about framing and creating the narrative, the culture, you know, of what is, you know, the wave of what people want. And everybody, I think, wants the same thing, even the right. You know, the right is so on board with taking down the house of cards with Hillary Clinton. So on board. And it's such an opportunity, a tool, because once you let that specific, you know, the Clintons, because they're tied to everything that's wrong right now, with the media, the prison, the Wall Street, and something else I was thinking. But anyways, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
That independent, going independent would help alleviate, you know, feeling that you have to vote party, because that's what the establishment wants. Yeah. That's my punchline.
I think that you are totally right on with that, because I mean, what is it, like 50% of people are independent now, and that's basically what people want, right? They want to be independent. They want freedom, and we're tired of, you know, Democrat, Republican. We're tired of labels, and that would be the best way to unite everybody. It's just independent. That's smart. I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin wanted to say something. Go ahead. Kevin wanted to say something, so go ahead, Kevin.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I coming through all right?
Kind of good. Just speak really loud.
All right, what I was going to say is... Shit. I hate when that happens. Give me a minute here. I literally forgot what I was going to say.
No, okay, no worries.
Shit.
All right, so I think some things I left out, like anyways, I still like Nina. She if you look on the YouTube, she liked and replied, and I'm like, woo, that's my first reply from a senator. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. So like I still support her. I don't support the party she's in. You know, this whole thing that we've been doing, like with Draft Bernie is and things like that, form a third party, go to a Green Party. We just don't like the Democratic Party, and it's not that I hate Nina because she's in the Democratic Party. I still like her. I just don't want her involved in that party that I don't like. It's much similar to like how I like Mike Figueredo and Jimmy Dore, even though I don't like TYT. You know, I want them out of there, but they just choose to stay in. They have their reasons, but I mean, I still like them. I still listen to them. I still agree with them, but you know, them being in TYT, I just don't like TYT. So
I'm going to use, what is it, the Nancy Pelosi metaphor? Well, it's like, or was it Di-Fi that said, or who was it? Oh, shoot. That said, it's like your boyfriend when she was talking about Bernie, women voting for Bernie. It's like your girlfriend has a boyfriend that you don't like, but you can't tell her. You have to make her come around to the fact that Hillary's a great candidate. Well, I sort of was listening to you, and I was hearing this that same thing, man, and I was agreeing. It's like Nina's sort of it's sort of like Nina's going out with this bad boyfriend that we don't like, but you know, we got to accept her boyfriend because we love Nina. You know what I mean?
I don't know. If
if
the boyfriend was abusive, no, well, I ain't standing for that.
No. Then we just make him disappear.
Yeah. So I feel like this is the abusive boyfriend we gotta make disappear.
Got to completely agree with you there, Ebon.
Oh, Kevin, I made you some cards, so whenever you're talking, you know that I'll just throw it up there if your sound starts fading out.
I think Kevin's still trying to remember. I think if Kevin keeps talking loud, I think it'll keep coming through. I think it might be something about when he gets quieter, it starts crackling.
Yeah. Like I swear, the more frustrated he gets with the phone, the better it works. So yeah, I think he might maybe just need to scream at it a little bit.
It's trigger powered.
Yes.
Check this out real quick. My wife brought it back for me. It's jade.
Ah.
It's a new pipe. It's a very nice
from Asia or something. Because jade's really popular in Asian cultures.
She was in China.
Okay. Yeah, Korea and China, they're big on jade.
Yeah, it's just like far out. So.
Does it feel any different with a jade pipe?
Oh, I feel like royalty.
You look like royalty, buddy. You look like royalty.
With that hat, you look like Dumbledore.
That's what my wife said. She came in and just took a picture a few minutes ago. She had to send it to her sister. She said it's my Dumbledore hat.
He's about to cast a spell on us.
I've got a Dumbledore pipe. I've got that one somewhere. Oh.
So yeah, one of the things, the reason, I mean, not that it was like the Democratic Party was bad enough, but after the presidential campaign, there's been a lot more since where you can't trust the Democratic campaign and the Democratic people that have been elected in. I mean, recently you've got Anthony Rendon of California who just blocked the single payer for California vote, but Bram could shine more light on that. And then before, there's Catherine Pugh. She was the mayor of Baltimore, where she was fighting for a $15 minimum wage when she was trying to look for election, and then she got elected, and then she blocked the $15 minimum wage when it could have passed. So I mean, I feel like the Democratic Party, they just keep saying that we're fighting for little people, and then when they get in, they go, "Oh no, we're not ready yet." They find every excuse in the world to say no, it can't happen now.
And it's literally them. They're the policymakers. You know what I mean? So, I don't. Yeah.
Kevin, you sounded great. Did you up your mic volume? Because that went through.
It wasn't Kevin.
Oh, that wasn't. Who was that?
It was Chad.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay. I was like, whoa. You guys kind of sounded like. All right, go ahead. That was just. We can stop talking about Nina Turner and Tim Black. I think.
Well, I want to hear. Usually, Snort comes in with something on Saturday nights, and so I was going to see if Snort had anything. That always interests me. I like catching little buzz and listen to Snort, man. He's far out.
I really haven't got anything tonight. I've been sick all day.
Oh, man,
right.
I'm sorry, Snort.
I just noticed James isn't here at all.
Oh yeah, he's went somewhere with his kids tonight.
Oh
yeah.
God darn him, being a good parent.
So I'm going to the beach tomorrow. So if I end up being like battered over the head and like found on the beach dead, it wasn't suicide. Just so you guys know, I'm serious.
You got it.
I'm not suicidal. Everyone has to say that.
Are you going fishing?
Oh yeah.
Do a fishing?
No, I'm just going anywhere, anytime I'm near any water. If I'm going to the beach or just fishing, I'm not gonna hit myself over the head and drown myself.
You don't have a home gym, do you?
No, I do, and I'm not gonna knock myself out with a barbell either.
Yeah, be very careful with those barbells. Very careful.
Oh boy! All right.
You people are ridiculous.
I mean, it's just coincidental. I think.
Hey, shit! Look at what has happened. You can't be too careful.
Yeah. I mean, it always used to be a joke, remember? Because of the Hillary Clinton's kill list or whatever. And we thought, yeah, whatever. There's no real evidence. It's all coincidence. But, like, the more and more people get on that list, we're all like, by the way, I don't feel suicidal. Ever. Yeah, so.
So, I guess we need to appeal to, because that would be our secret, our like CIA, FBI would be our I guess, deep state. Like how should we appeal to the people? Because there's a lot of people within that field that are probably seeing, the corruption part in their field. So we have to get people within that field to help take over. Because I mean, it's a dangerous thing too if you're really making waves. I mean, you joke about it, but it's there is a if you're really making that many waves, they're I don't put anything past them, honestly.
Which gets me to the point. Do you guys read or hear about the TSA? They're going to check your books. So any books that you have, paper books, they're going to check up on them.
What would be the point of that? I don't understand. Why books?
Because they get in the way of scanning for potential weapons. So they want you to take out your books now.
It doesn't matter. People don't read. They don't have books.
I read. I don't fly.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Someone gets on a plane with a book, you should be suspicious. The people here don't read. Good point.
I don't know. You don't have to shut a book off when you're taking off and approaching. I read the paperback version of Into Thin Air. It was very hip when the pilot says we're at 35,000 feet. And I'm thinking, wait a second, we're only a few thousand feet higher than these sons of bitches on this mountain. And I'm looking out there and thinking, that looks fucking cold, man. So I think that there's something to be said No, you know, somebody steals your paper book off your chest when you're sleeping. It isn't a big loss. I don't know. There's multiple. I'm a sort of a Fahrenheit 451 sort of believer in you got to have lots of paper books around just so you can be the record keepers.
I could see a possible problem with books on a plane.
Oh, well, books on a plane are also just a nice sort of thing to have rather
They
than
take away your cell phone and they take away your tablets. What else have you got to do? You got to buy the in-flight movie, I guess.
They're going to hand out bats with nails and face masks and have live fights in the rows.
Yeah, but I do have a concern with books.
Sure. Okay.
But why? Why is that, Snark?
I don't want to give anybody any ideas.
Well, I did see that movie. What was that with Matt Damon? He beat up some guy with a book, so I could see where it could be very dangerous.
Well, you could use it at least defensively. Like I said, you could stick it in front of your face to better get hit.
Yeah, I kind of kicked my stepdad's ass with a book one time. It was East of Eden, though, so it was a pretty heavy book.
Death of 1,000 paper cuts?
Oh, hell. The old, what was it, that movie? Oh, shit. Some jail movie with Mark Penn, or what's his name, Penn in it. It was, and he had the suit, or the pillowcase full of pops. That would, those are things you could get on an airplane. I mean, if you really wanted to be deep into try to figure out something, but I guess when the time comes, you're looking for anything you can find. So,
yeah, I'll just keep talking, and we're gonna lose Pop too.
Be right back.
Well, they give you this nice little cups, for people that are used to it. Like a big gulp is a small. They hand these itty bitty cups of Pop to them.
Yeah. About the size of the hospital gives you the pills in.
Yeah, and then they were telling the flight attendants, because of the air, you should hydrate inside the plane. So they were drinking, their liter or two of water. And night, Alos.
Bye, Alos.
Good night,
Have a
everyone.
good one. Take care.
Yep. You guys rest well, all right? It's the weekend.
Good night.
Night.
So they were drinking their water like the airline told them to do. And when the way they always did it is you either took your drug test before or after you landed, and they would just, surprise you with a drug test. Well, these women were coming up, because they weren't, they weren't big women. Their flight attendants aren't picked because they're necessarily the largest women, and they basically they were all came out diluted. So they were flunking drug tests when no drugs were in their system.
I think they used to need more water back when people smoked on planes and they had to blow the cabin faster, because the outside air at 35,000 feet is very little moisture.
Well, I think that's the general idea. It's the humidity. It's so low that you lose water even when you don't realize it on a long flight.
But there's hardly any planes up there today that were around back when smoking was allowed.
Yeah, but this is like now. This isn't like back when.
Right, but I think they kept the same rules and forgot that the.
Oh, well, I think
more moisture now.
Well,
so that whatever water they're drinking isn't leaving their body.
Well, and they don't really have a lot of, whatever.
I think about the whole book thing. I think they're probably doing that to probably not really what physical, more of what's in it. I would say that it's just another way for them to look for people who are
profile.
Yeah, exactly. Have a Quran or obviously people aren't really worried about a Bible here, but I think that's more of what they're trying to do. Whether or not there's like some sort of radical type.
I think now that you guys have mentioned this, next time I fly, I'm going to take my wife's chemical engineer's handbook. It's got everything in it.
Origami.
No, I mean it's got like how to do anything chemically. It's in there.
Well, it would come in handy if you crashed in the Andes and you had to figure out what you got, what you could do.
Or if you crash somewhere where you don't have toilet paper, you need a big book.
That's why shirts have a tail. Hey, Eric, what's happening?
Nothing really. A little tired, but I feel good.
I just, you're silent all the time, and I rarely get
That's okay.
Well, I don't know. I like when you're triggered every once in a while. It's
triggered.
You want me to say something to get him going, or?
No.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding.
Trust me. If he was close, all I had to do was ask him. He'd have told me.
I'm sure I could.
But I'm good right now. I was just listening into the conversation, see what's going on.
I'm gonna call it a night, guys. I am pretty tired. I've been up a while.
All right.
All right.
Good night, ma'am.
All right, good night. You take care.
Take care.
Later, man.
I was going to do the ingredients list today. If we still want to do that for the cook-off,
sure,
or no?
I know what mine is.
What's your ingredient?
Flour.
Just flour? I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So my ingredient.
I was trying to make some, yeah.
Yeah. So my ingredient is watermelon. So you gotta include watermelon with flour somehow. So if you guys, so Chad, if you don't know, we're doing a challenge. It's like just for a fun, for a cook-off thing, and it's basically everyone comes up with an ingredient, and people who would participate, they gotta make a dish with those ingredients by next Saturday, and then once we're just kind of vote on who kind of made the best looking, I guess, dish that they would want to eat. And then you can make a video and post your pictures on it.
So you have to do it with everybody picks an ingredient. We have to make something out of what everybody picks.
Yeah, but it has to be somewhat basic.
Okay. Cayenne pepper.
That's a good one.
But that mean, Chad, if you contribute one, you have to make one of the dishes. I think that was the rule yesterday.
That's the rule. So are you gonna make a dish?
What are we doing now?
When do I have to make the dish by?
Next Saturday. So it's gonna be like a Saturday thing, right before anything goes on Saturday nights.
Okay, I think I could do something.
All right. Okay. All right. So Kevin, do you have an ingredient?
What was the whole idea again?
So
Cooking thing.
So anyone who wants to participate in making a dish, everyone names an ingredient, and you have to make sure that ingredient is in the recipe, whatever you make. So, no. Okay, Forsaken, do you want to participate?
No.
All right. Stevie?
I thought cooking, dishes.
So we have to name an ingredient that or is it something that we have to use all the ingredients that everybody's.
We're going to try to use all the ingredients, one thing.
Oh. Let me think about this for a second.
All right. So far, it's flour, watermelon, and cayenne pepper. So, yeah, that'll be tough.
So I got it right so far.
Wow.
That's not bad. That's easy.
So, Eric, if you don't want to make the dish, your mom can make the dish. See what she ends up making.
Oh, I can cook.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do it?
Oh, come on now. Now you said you could cook. If you could cook, you could cook.
Okay, but I'm trying to think of an ingredient. That's a tough one, though.
We're trying to keep it semi like regular kind of things. I think at least this time. See how this goes, because we're already got some bizarre ingredients. So.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Paula Deen option and go with butter.
Oh, butter's always a good option.
Yeah.
If we can actually.
Butter, what the
hell? All right.
Butter. How can that be a main ingredient?
Deep fried watermelon.
Main ingredient. Oh.
Hey, wait a second. We said cayenne pepper. There ain't no way to make cayenne pepper into a main.
But basically, you just have to make the taste of the butter and the cayenne pepper stand up.
This challenge just changed. It went from making food to a contest of who can make the worst thing that somebody can choke down.
No. We're not supposed to make it the worst. We're supposed to make it the best.
We have to eat it?
This has got lots of potential.
Yeah. Make sure whoever can think up the best dish they can with the ingredients listed. So. All right. I guess Eric's the last one. Ben, you don't want to participate? Snork? No?
I'm trying to think of a good ingredient.
It's kind of tough right now. Flour, watermelon, cayenne pepper, and butter.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
That's why I'm laughing. I'm just trying to think what could go.
I've got a. Can we put? Okay, we seem to be having difficulties coming up with ideas for this game. I have another one. How about we put this game on pause for a minute until we have more people, so we can get more ideas, and then we do this instead. Be a little easier.
Well,
let's say this.
Well, I don't know. This does not seem that hard, guys.
Yeah, we planned this out last night. It's pretty simple. People just have ingredient ready every Saturday, and then by next Saturday everyone makes that dish and try to make it the best dish possible with those ingredients.
Take pictures of it or whatever, so we got something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it already lost me at the combination of watermelon and cayenne pepper, so, yeah.
But hey, you know what? This could be a good challenge. Like, if one of us actually pulls off pretty good dishes, we could probably show up on some type of cooking channel on, like, the Food Network or something like that. And just say, hey, look, we made this dish. It was made out of flour, watermelon, cayenne pepper, and butter.
It sounds like one of those new diet crazes, like just add watermelon and cayenne pepper and you'll lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
Well, cayenne pepper is actually really good for your blood circulation. There's a lot of good health benefits for it.
And watermelon is supposed to be good for digestion, so.
I mean, it could almost make some sort of something sweet with it, to be honest. There's a lot of.
I mean, with flour and butter, you got yourself kind of like a dessert-ish type of.
Yeah, the watermelon and the
cayenne pepper part would be.
Okay, I missed a little bit there. It's flour?
Deep fried, spicy watermelon.
So it's flour, Snork? watermelon, cayenne pepper, and butter so far.
Refried beans.
Oh, come on. Refried beans.
That's a little easier.
I don't know. It's making that
Do we
taste
all
good.
have to make it in one, or can we use separate ingredients?
You gotta put them all together.
Ah, damn.
Really? Come on. All
you
of
gotta,
them together.
Then you got to eat everything, the whole plate.
And we can add other stuff to it, right?
Yeah, you can add in other stuff, but they should be the centerpiece, kind of. It's like, you don't want to add turkey and have like turkey as your main ingredient, even though it's not listed, and just everything like very subtle. Like, that doesn't work.
I got an idea already.
Uh-oh. Snork's gonna come up with something good. He's a materials engineer. I mean, all food is material, right? So that's kind of unfair.
I'm not a materials. I'm a methods.
Okay. All right, we're waiting on you, Eric. No rush. Just what's on top of your head?
What the hell? Sunflower kernels.
Oh, that's good. Sunflower kernels. That's a good one. That'll add some good flavor to it and crunchiness. All right, so we got our full list.
So it's a spicy.
Okay, this is doable. This is way doable.
I have all these.
I think I just need like 2 of them.
And I'm gonna substitute the flour for gluten-free flour.
Okay, yeah, you could do that.
So.
Yeah, flour. I mean, I
Not
think
that
rice flour, whatever flour, just flour, whatever floats somebody's boat. If somebody can figure out a way to use rye flour and make it right, that's cool too. Whatever.
So I'm calling this food track to go where no food has gone before.
Oh, food truck.
Yeah.
It's like a whose line
Oh,
is
weird.
Food.
I was always a food wars guy more than a food trek guy.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to come up, spend a day or two to come up with something like this. But Kat already came up with something pretty good. I think Eric meant sunflower seeds, not just sunflower kernels, right, Eric?
No, the actual kernels.
The actual kernels?
The middle.
The
middle. The meat.
Yeah, the inside part. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
The part with the hull is the seed.
Okay. Yeah. So, yep. By Saturday, I'm gonna actually make a video of me cooking it, so you guys will see the method. So that'll provide some entertainment. So now we got our entertainment section. It's food. We could create our own independent home network, food network too. Home improvement and food.
I've got ideas. I got ideas here. That's, for a first list, this is way doable. I was afraid we were going to be a little too bizarre, but this works quite well.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know.
Fried beans yesterday.
Yeah, I had refried beans like 2 days ago.
And it goes really good with cayenne pepper.
Yep, it does. Adding the watermelon part might be the hardest part, I think.
Should make it into a stew.
Or make it like some sort of burrito or something, and then with like a watermelon thing on top, like a little sauce.
I don't want to give anything away. Oh, yeah. Like a watermelon sauce would be good. Okay, I'm going to have to think overboard. Try not to do the watermelon sauce. There you go. Progressive cooking with a Bon Kim. That's a good one, Kat.
And it's scientific.
Yep. Anyways,
watermelons are on sale tomorrow or Monday for $3.99 here. So I'll probably
July sale or something.
No. Our
wait,
store
3rd of
just has
July.
fantastic sales every week.
Okay.
It's called Fairway. I don't think it's out of state.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard that. Wait, where do you live in Snork again?
Old Wine, Iowa.
Iowa. Okay.
Yeah. If you go in with $100, you can fill a cart, walk back out, fill another cart.
Wow.
That's how. I mean, and it's not cheap stuff. It's not inferior quality, and it just shocked me so much how much moving to a rural place could reduce the cost of living.
Oh yeah, I remember going to a bar in Omaha, Nebraska, and like the drinks for like draft beers was something like $2.40. I was like, holy smokes, $2.40. Here in Somerville, it's like $5-6.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Even going out for drinks is expensive. Is it central Iowa?
No, northeast, the nice looking part.
Northeast. Oh, so it's close to Illinois, I guess.
Yeah, it's equal distance to Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. I'm right in the upper right corner.
Oh, okay. We never drive through that way when we drive to Omaha, but maybe we'll do a side trip sometime.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half north of I-80, so it's quite out of the way for most people.
Yeah.
All right, so let's try something foodie kind of related. Well, let's try just let's all just list an ingredient. We'll come up with something right, sort of just going back and forth here, just sort of to play around with this idea. So we can like you can do one of two things. You can either get really bizarre with the theoretical ones, because we're allowed to sort of be able to attain the unattainable for our theory, right? So like if if it's impossible to find, raspberry habanero whatever jelly where you are, it's still a legal ingredient. You know what I mean? Whatever, it could be truffles, it could be whatever.
Let's just make it so that if someone names an ingredient and someone kind of disapproves, it's like, no, there's no way I can get that or afford that. We stated.
Well, yeah, but I know I'm talking about right now. I was just talking about right now, not trying to add another game, another food making game.
Okay.
I was just talking about, we have a group of people here. We can always still do another list of totally different ingredients, and I'm saying you could pick bizarre ones if it's all theoretical.
Yeah.
And if you have to describe the flavor of something, take a second and think about what it tastes like so you could describe it to other people, because,
Well, I think what you're saying, it's kind of cool because it's almost like a game, where people even at home can play. Everything is I get just building off of what you said. Everything is media and culture driven. So by taking like this format and really ironing something out with fun with it, like having like a set list, people just pick something from, and you do your thing, and then you post it up every week. It's like every day needs to be different types of content coming out. I just think that's actually a cool solidified stamp that Ebon can boom start pumping out, because again it's tons and tons of stuff. So
I also just thought what we could do is you just say one thing that you actually have in your refrigerator that you have in your refrigerator without looking, and everybody says one thing, and we try to like come up with something, it's like sort of a group puzzle, you know what I mean?
I think that's cool. Like a scavenger kind of thing.
Well, but you don't need, it's something that you don't need to go scavenge, because it's there. And the idea is, Like if we all just, it's like the stone soup. You know the story of stone soup? The no good soldiers come to town and they don't have any food. So they get a big pot. They borrow a big pot and they put it in the middle of the town and they fill it up with water. And the one guy brings a big rock over. He goes, "We're gonna have stone soup. This can be really good." He throws it in there, and then he slowly gets all the neighborhood to add an ingredient, and it becomes a stew. It just got a rock in the bottom of it. So it was really no good thing. It was just a cool way to sort of get everybody to make a dinner together. So.
Right. Which I was thinking.
So I mean, think of something you have in your refrigerator, and this, we have enough different kinds of people here. I think we probably all have something that's sitting in a jar down in the bottom, or maybe it isn't. Maybe it's something you have all the time.
Well, I mean, I think it would be cool to even if it's like a base list of ingredients, to where maybe once a week, even if it was a live show, where you have like some sort of roulette or some sort of game where you pull out the 5 different ingredients, and everybody already has these base ingredients. So then everybody can make a dinner party. Everybody can make shit from all over the world. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm
just trying not to overcomplicate it. I mean, that's why I was saying let's just it's not even really a list. It's just however many of us, is 8, 10 of us, all just say whatever we might have in our refrigerator, and then we just add them all together. We sit here as a group, try to figure something out.
This one's sort of a mind game, though. This isn't a real make-it recipe like the other one, right?
Exactly. This is just something for us to play with right now.
Well, no, I don't know. I think the conversation about it is the most interesting part. So if I saw something that looked good, if you actually made it, like I would just be like interested in saying, "How did you make that?" So we could do that right now. We could talk about.
Oh, you could. I mean, if we came up with something good enough, you could try making it. I mean, I'm saying, but let's just have some fun with it. Let's have fun. It's Saturday night. Let's not make a bunch of rules about it. Let's just have fun. So I'm trying to think of what I might have in my fridge. It would be.
Well, I was just saying more even in the future, because as far as a content, something.
I know, but we're not marketing anything. We're just playing right now. We're just.
Well, no, right now, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get.
I understand.
Let's get it going. I mean, let's get it on.
Eric, go ahead. Eric wants to say something.
Can we use water in this challenge? If that's
sure.
allowed.
I mean, yeah, you could have other ingredients. If you need other ingredients to make this work, sure. It's but like whatever we make, it's trying to use all of the things, and it could be like a.
Well, for me, all right, let's start. I got rosemary. I got fresh new plant stem of rosemary. So we're adding rosemary to this imaginary food game.
Okay. I have some tilapia fillets.
A what?
Tilapia. It's like it's a bottom fish.
Oh, fish.
Like,
tilapia fish. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh.
I have pickles.
Okay.
Spear pickles.
Spear pickles.
Okay.
Well, tilapia and rosemary, or fish and rosemary, go well together, so that's easy. Pickles. Maybe we make a fish sandwich. All right. Eric, or anyone else?
Garlic cloves.
Garlic cloves. Oh, garlic is good with fish.
Well, so we're adding more to the ingredient list?
Everyone puts in one. No, this is a separate game. This is the imaginary game.
This is just in our mind.
You're cooking right now. As this is going, you're cooking right now.
In our head, yep.
Yeah, things are diced, things are prepared. If you need yeast to rise, whatever.
All that stuff, and the best of the best right now.
All right, Snort, Stevie,
like Hook,
Kevin, Ben.
I think I got flour, I really don't keep a whole lot of food stocks, so it's usually like flour or ramen. So I'm gonna go with flour.
Okay.
We're doing imaginary.
Yeah, but that's in your fridge. Just whatever you got.
Oh,
or it doesn't have to be in
lamb.
your fridge. Just in your pantry, in your fridge, freezer, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking fridge, so I just went with I have garlic in the tray in my fridge.
Yeah.
Somebody said lamb.
Who said lamb?
Yeah, lamb, rosemary, garlic, and
pickles,
and tilapia, and flour.
No problem. This is sounding better and better.
Take the flour and you get to mix it with cayenne seasoning and the other stuff to make batter, and then take an egg and then dip the tilapia in it. That way you can bread them and cook them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, Snork, do you have one? Or Ben?
You need mint for the lamb.
Oh, you did the lamb?
No, I was going to say if you're adding lamb, you need mint.
Oh, so you're putting in mint for it?
Only with lamb.
Pickled mint lamb?
Oh, well, I was actually going to add it in. I was going to add it as an extra ingredient if you didn't, Snork.
Hey, we only get one ingredient. We can't.
Yeah, but I mean, but we're allowed to add in extras to make it work, is what I'm saying. If you need something else if you need yeast to make this whole thing work, you get yeast.
Okay.
You know, you can get some basic things that you know. I think asking for mint isn't too much if lamb is involved either. So you already asked, so I don't have to ask for it.
Do a little can of butter, cannabis butter.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
we need that to add.
That is an ingredient at certain times a year.
So yeah, so I don't know.
I like it so far. I think that you make a coleslaw with your tomato and your pickle and your oh hell's bells. You could, like a cabbage or something. You use something else to sort of help make it into sort of. You do that, and then you have you add in the smoked lamb into it, and you dip your fish fillets, and you serve it all. You serve your like basically like a sauerkraut, a pickled kraut on top of your fish. You know, your pickled lamb kraut, because lamb has a lovely flavor. If you put a little sugar, sweeten that up a little bit. You know. With your mint, and then you know you rosemary your fish, and everything would be, I think it would be pretty good if you just, you know, one way to serve that in one big lump that would work.
Just mix it in a blender and make a malt or a shake out of it.
Oh, now that sounds funky, but yeah, okay. It could be fine. I mean, I don't know what that would taste like, but
I got something. I mean, tilapia different, but you know, tilapia on a George Foreman grill with Italian dressing and lemon. I don't know. Is that?
I mean, you could easily grill the tilapia on some type of like a outer wood plank. With rosemary and garlic cloves under it, and then you've got yourself a pretty good fish right there. And then you just find something with the lamb, the mint, the flour, and the spear pickles, and that could be your coleslaw type of thing.
You could actually, what you could do is, like you're saying, you could take your fish, you could smoke it. You know, it doesn't make great smoked fish, but
with the can of butter,
smoked fish, it would make a good smoked fish if you smoked it along with your lamb, and then you added it to you chop that up and added it to your to sort of sweet and sour salad of some sort. You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting with this. So you have smoky meats within your within your salad of whatever.
What's good wood for smoking lamb?
Lamb, I think you could probably smoke it with just about anything because it's got a strong flavor. You know, so if you smoked it with any, you know, you could use even like mesquite or something like that. And you don't need to use like apple or something like something that's kind of apple's nice on fish, you know, because it's mellower.
Isn't lamb normally smoked with dung?
Dung? Did you say dung?
Yeah.
Yeah, not in my house.
Sorry, Kevin, what were you saying? Hold on. Hold on, let me try something here. I'm going to try muting everyone, except for you, Kevin. Okay, now try saying something. Kevin? Hello? Kevin?
Can you hear me?
Yes. All right, now say something.
Yeah. Did Snork say the lamb was smoked with dung?
Yes. All right, that kind of worked.
Where? Why?
Because Julian knows better. By and large, the people who get jobs on Fox News, they're not that bright.
Oh my
They're
God!
just
You
not.
see the blonde.
Yeah, that was bad. Okay, so Kevin asked why Snork.
Oh, I didn't realize I was unmuted. It's available around the world wherever there's sheep. And a lot of the countries where you have lamb, you don't have trees.
Okay.
Nobody's gonna cut down. Nobody's gonna cut down grape or olive trees for their yeah.
So I posted a video of somebody that's doing it.
I don't want to eat dinner at that guy's house. All right, so Kevin, I kind of have an idea. So anytime you want to speak, I'm just gonna mute everyone. That seems to really help. And then I'll just unmute everyone else after you're done talking.
Well,
all right.
I think another good option is you take your lamb and you beat it flat. Oh wow, hey guys, that Pacquiao got beat by some unknown dude.
Well, Pacquiao is getting old.
Yeah, well, he just lost his belt to some dude that was unknown. That Stephen L. Smith was acting like he was a piece of shit. So I'm happy to see the dude won. Anyhow, if you take and you make like you could even use your pickles in it, because actually sour, or that kind of sour and lamb also goes all right together. So if you went with like a stuffing of fish in a roll, you roll your lamb around your basically you smear the whole lamb side with fish.
But does fish and lamb mix?
Sure.
It all mixes. We could cook it on some hemp plants.
Or not even. I mean, you don't even need to. I mean, just if you put those. I mean, because they're too. Actually, lamb has a stronger flavor than that fish does. That's a really mild fish, as fish go. So
I would put the fish in a sauce or something like that, and maybe smear it on the.
You know, I was just adding another. You know, it's they roll meat all the time with stuff in it. Crab meat's good and stuff, but it's not good, and I wouldn't put it in lamb because the lamb overpowers it. You know, so if you're going to overpower the fish, if you're just going to get a faint hint of fish on lamb with the sour, it would work. You can pickle the fish for all that to consider.
So
empty half the jar and throw your fish in there for a while.
So I'm excited this coming Monday because we're gonna go out towards Buzzards Bay area to go crabbing for blue crabs with my wife and my daughter. And I haven't. My daughter hasn't had crab yet. So people who don't know, I only eat animals that I catch or kill myself. So so far it's been fish, and now it's gonna be crab, and then I just don't like hunting. I hunt. I tried hunting. I just don't like hunting here because there's just so many ticks. All I catch are ticks, and like, yeah. So it'll be fun. Does anyone have like blue crab recipes? Does anyone have like eating crabs? Like I haven't ate crabs since I was like maybe.
You get they always used to just take and put out paper on the picnic table, and they'd steam them, or I guess you could you can barbecue them, pretty much cook them any way you want to, and they'd throw a mess of them out on the paper, and they put that Old Bay seasoning on them.
Yeah, I heard Old Bay.
And they'd rub that. They just put that, and when you're picking the shell, when you're breaking up the shells, it mixes with the meat. That's how, like, when in Maryland crab feed, that's how you eat them. So, that's what I know from that way.
Yeah.
We don't have crabs here.
Oh, yeah.
But I did just get a couple of frozen lobsters, and I haven't figured out what to do with them yet. Probably put them in the watermelon.
Just steam them and eat them with some lemon butter dip. Just warm up some butter until it melts and add in some lemon, and just steam your lobster, and there you go. You got just.
Or make like a stew. You take your shells, you pick your meat, take your shells and boil your shells.
It's just the tails. Just the tails.
Oh well, still you still make some broth out of it. Make some add cream or something. Make that and add the meat in there. Oh.
Yeah, I've never really been big on seafood, but I tried some like super spicy fish the other day, and it was amazing. So yeah, I'll try it. We always made. We can get like Dungeness crab meat, and we don't really get that much, but like get crab legs. That's always good.
Yeah.
Like king crab legs, but.
I visited Seattle last summer, and I missed the crab hunting by like 1 or 2 days. And I was pissed because everywhere on the water, I would just see these huge Dungeness crabs near the shore, and I was like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah, that's big here. They get razor clams here, but we'd always make get cod, and whenever we'd sit around, we'd make cod chowder. I'd make that in the wintertime. And I'd make that stuff so rich that I'd take just a thermos of it to work with me, and I'd be getting rained on all day. And it was like seaman's, like seafaring pick me up, man, because you could drink that stuff down and eat like potatoes and big hunks of meat and butter, and it just recharged to go back up and get rained on again. I mean, sort of that's the way it always felt when you walked back out into where it was raining hard in Portland.
Yeah. West Virginia, is that Stevie? Do you guys have any you guys are further away from the sea, right? You guys mostly have lakes around.
Yeah, we have some, but the fish really isn't really safe for consumption much anymore. Like way back in the day, maybe, but yeah, not much anymore.
Is that pretty much every body of water in West Virginia?
What? Oh, like whether or not it's safe to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to go to like some of these like nicer places. They probably keep the water like pretty good, like where there's, of course, rich people. But yeah, in my area, nah, I wouldn't. I mean, they make jokes about the Canal River about like if you go in with 2 arms, you're coming out with 3. So it's not safe.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people relied on that, but we're mostly like we hunt deer and bears, stuff like that.
I would think the bear is mostly traps, or do they actually go out shooting for bear?
I know. Well, I had some relatives that would go out and shoot bears, but I'm not sure if that was legal or not.
Oh. But
we used to have a problem with bears, but I don't think that that's a problem much anymore.
Yeah. I guess I'll have to look at how they regulate that, because
I'd like to be able to go and get an elk sometime.
They just did a program here where they released a bunch of elk. Yeah,
no kidding. They're groovy, man. They make their hamburger. You take that burger and it makes the best red sauce for pasta, for spaghetti. Oh man, something about that meat in tomato sauce. It makes a flavor that it's undescribable how good it is. And you just add in the Italian the Italian herbs and stuff, and you end up with this. Oh, I gotta get it.
Oh, that sounds good. I never even had elk before. Maybe I'm just hungry. But everybody talks about like fish. I don't like fish that much, but like hell, I'll try it right now. I'm so hungry.
Oh, venison! I like venison too.
We got to do the cornbread compound where we all get together for like a week and we all hunt and grow our food. Actually, we can't grow our food in a week, so we'll have to think about that one.
Like, I can't believe I used to be vegetarian, because I was out at the park with my son the other day, and there was these 3 deer that just practically walked right up to us, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, man, you look tasty. Like, I've never, ever done that before. But man, it's good. It is good if you get it fresh. I think that's the difference between like this store-bought food and the stuff they put in it, like all these preservatives and, all the crap they do to it. And then the difference between that and like, hunting your own and getting it fresh.
We always knew people, we always knew like there's some families, they took a couple extra deer every year and nobody says anything because, hey man, that's just, everybody in the neighborhood sort of looked at it as, any game warden that's willing to walk down that driveway better be willing to look behind them, because there's going to be a bunch of neighbors right behind them just shaking their heads to say no, because they were just, some families needed an extra deer, and they weren't greedy about it.
We have deer farms here.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were it was close enough. There was Blue Mountains there, Appalachian Trail. That there was lots and lots of whitetail. Not that I ever got one. Went out lots of times and froze, but never shot anything. But deer, I like deer. Deer jerky. Oh,
I've seen herds of like 50 of them come into town, just walk right by our house.
Yeah. When I was
they're like down by Philly, that's a huge problem because they don't, you have to have enough, like it's 150 yards. You have to have clearance to shoot anything but a bow. And in some counties, you're not allowed to bow hunt because they're just too populated in areas. So down by Philly, there's all these parks that have they're overrun with deer. And every once in a while they have like a bow hunt. They basically, I think they encircle the park so that basically people that aren't hunting can't come in for a few days and they hunt some off because there's so many car accidents.
Yeah, same here. I'm a couple 100 yards from the south side of town, from the west side of town, and the north side of town. So it's not really that far a distant walk for them. They go by, look to see what kind of stuff people have left out. They'll eat bird feed and stuff like that, then go on back to their normal food. And there's a farm with about 100 of them 2 miles south of here, and the Amish have a couple of deer farms about 4 miles from here.
I have a deer story for you. I'm working on this bridge down in the Philly area, and we're there, and it was my foreman. He was Tony. He was this guy that he was this big guy. He was always a fighter when he was young, and he had to try out with the New York Giants to be a defensive back. I mean, he was a big, strong guy. And I also worked with a guy that was a little shorter than me, that was bald head, big freaking beard, and he was Dave the Pagan. He was Pagan Motorcycle Gang, and one day this lady hits this deer up on the road. So Dave, it was like break time. Dave took off up and grabbed this deer and took his utility knife and finished the deer with his utility knife, because it was, it needed to be put down anyhow. It wasn't like he was doing in many ways he was doing it a favor, but he puts then he drags it over and kicks a bunch of leaves over it, and he talks to the lady, and then the cop comes and they ask, had anybody seen where that deer went? Everybody says, nah. And after the cops leave, Dave comes over and says, I'm going to take the rest of the day off. And he backs his pickup truck over there and throws that deer in the back. So, that was the first time I ever saw somebody take down a deer. Dave the Pagan took him down with a utility knife.
It's a little different out in the country. My grandpa was from Arkansas, so they just have a different outlook in the way treat animals, or the hunting and all that kind of stuff. So I remember the first time it was rabbits. I was visiting my grandpa. I was probably 11 or 12, and just stopped in the middle of the road, and somebody gave him a couple rabbits, and tried to hand them to me, and I was like, okay. So, but this made me think about it. He gave me shit for that. He's like upset, pissed off that I was like weird about it. So,
yeah.
But made me think that.
In Oregon, you can now, or not yet, I just looked it up, but they just passed the law that says you can do the roadkill, like to fill a license or fill like a deer tag or something.
Well, if you had in Pennsylvania, it used to be if you hit a deer, you could keep it if you had a deer tag. You just put your deer tag on it, and that was your deer for the year. It was a guaranteed deer, and if you knew how it was killed, what the hell?
I know you guys are talking about farming and stuff. Something just out in Tennessee. So I'm on the outskirts of Nashville, just east. There's 250 people in my town, and there's a bunch of farms and stuff like that. I don't know. I think one of the ways that I don't know, it goes back to the kind of politics stuff. I think that's one of the ways to be able to bring people together, because the rural area, the country, there's plenty enough land, there's plenty enough resources to be able to damn near feed people the right way. We just have to bypass this shitty foods that the big corporations are obviously giving us. It just took me back there with you know, I guess health, quality of life, you know, is important key elements to, you know, finding that middle ground for everybody.
Yeah, I think ones that piss me off is when I see people not humanely killing things before they cook it. And I see on YouTube videos all the time, it's like they make videos of how to humanely kill them, and then they're not humanely killing it. I'm like, oh, come on. It's like for crabs, they have two nerve endings, so you want to get the one in the middle and then get the one in their front. And people don't do that. They usually just kind of toss them in boiling water. And the same thing with fish. Some fish have two different nerve endings, not just the brain. So you want to bash their brain in, pike it, and then sometimes they'll have a nerve endings on their tail, their dorsal tail, and you want to pike that part too. That way they're just dead, like instantly, or like a second, rather than, you know, thrashing about and feeling pain. And,
oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna kill if you're gonna eat something, at least have like the decency to kill it first. You know, like.
Yeah.
I always did rabbits. I just break their neck. You know, I'd take them and I'd hold them and I'd just twist and stretch, and that was quick. You know, and then I'd just, you know, decapitate them and go home making meat.
Ixnay on the Hassenpfeffer nay.
I know. Our area isn't here right now. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's what we kept rabbits for. We had rabbits, we had chickens for eggs, we had the goats, and you know.
How fast do rabbits breed and grow to adult size?
Well, see, the general. I can't remember exactly how long it took. It's like weeks, you know. But you want to keep them on the mamas long, so you're not feeding them feed, and you're getting like, you know, it's basically like I guess they call them fryer chickens. Is that right? It's like between a pullet and a full grown stewing chicken. And anyhow, yeah, you want to you want to get them when you're not paying to feed them, basically, when you aren't paying extra to feed them. And, you know, and of course you don't. I mean, because there's always a pain in the ass whenever I had to butcher, because I had to go dig a hole because I had dogs, and I had to, you know, dig a hole deep enough, and it was always a big project. And digging where I lived was like clay and rock, and the rocks were at times boulders, so it was always a pleasant experience, especially once like the summer came and there wasn't any rain, because it like just clicked and you wouldn't have any rain here in Western Washington. And suddenly that clay would dry up, so it'd be like digging through the concrete. So, you know, every time. So that's why I quit doing rabbits, just because it was a pain in the ass. And, you know, the goats were worth it, because I'd do a few at a time, and it was, you know, digging a hole for them was a more major project, but it wasn't as, you know, it was a bigger payoff per. But it, you know,
I feel like I just get too attached to them to kill them. I think that's probably my problem. With any animal, pretty much. Like even chickens, if I had chickens for...
Well, yeah, it doesn't make... I mean, you know, all our goats were named. I knew every name at one time, but it was like, you know, when it came down to it, it was, you know, it was time, and it was still what had happened on a farm, you know, basically. I was, and we had to thin the herd down, way thin the herd down, and, you know, eventually sell off what we could as we went along, and, you know, as we got sort of ready to move from there. And so it was, there were a few. It was actually the milk goat. We left her, left her and one other. You should always have a pair of goats if you have goats, because they're social animals.
I think that's kind of what makes like fishing and hunting a little bit easier. You don't get attached. Fishing, especially in like my thing with fishing and crabbing, is like fish eat other fish when they grow too big. Crabs eat other crabs. So I'm kind of okay with that because if they're doing it to their own species, heck, another species eating them, I just feel a little bit better. So I don't know. My mentality for hunting bigger game is gonna have to like take a step further than where my thought process is now.
Yeah, I think my thinking about it is a matter of, like, especially with mammals, it's harder. Like fish and stuff, I don't mean, but mammals, there's something about it. It's also you're shutting out a light, you know.
Yeah. All right.
And I had a vet describe it that way. So it's like you want to, if you're going to shut out a light, get the most out of the meat you're going to get out of your animal, kind of thing. Now I think it's the way I think about it.
All right, I'm gonna mute so Kevin can say something. Give me 1 second. I guess. Okay, Kevin, were you gonna say something? Kevin?
You were just getting at that. What the hell? See, every time you beat that damn thing, I'm hearing this and I lose my train of thought. You're saying not conscious. You know what I mean? You just don't. You see that they eat each other, so fuck it. I'm ready to eat them.
Something like
Something
that.
like that. I was on the couch and I kept telling everyone.
Everybody just think.
You guys were muted, so I just remuted. Yeah, I think it's fine. It just, I feel like it takes a lot out of me to hunt and kill something, so I have to kind of be in that mindset, I think, when I go hunting. And I know I'm going to be taking a life, and fish have been a lot easier, just it's quicker, but like, and it's like, if I'm hunting, it's, for me, it's I use a bow and arrow, not using, it's either that or using a shotgun here in Massachusetts. And
you have a bow and arrow?
Yeah, I have a couple. I'm pretty good with a bow and arrow.
Oh, I want to learn some archery.
I'll teach you how to throw knives and shoot a bow and arrow when you next meet.
Thanks.
I mean, that was always the reason why I never bow hunted, because I just never took the time to get, I mean, if I would have taken the time and got really good at it, because I sort of believe that if you're going to go hunting, you hunt for one shot kills quickly, you know, and so, you know, I mean, everything is just supposed to be done as humanely as possible the way I try.
Yeah.
And that's why bow hunting was always a thing where I felt like, yeah, I mean, if I took the time, I know I'd be good at it just because it's an aiming thing and I can aim anything, you know, I'm good at aiming stuff, but I just never took the time. So, but it was intriguing. I got to give that, Ebon. The idea of getting in closer and stuff, I kind of like that. And yeah, it's a skill you should, you know, I mean, and it's good to be good at it, is I guess what I'm saying. I appreciate hearing that from a bow hunter, because I know guys that were like weekend bow hunters, and it, you know, coming up the deer season and stuff, these guys wouldn't practice and sort of do the things. I felt like if you're going to go bow hunting, you should be out in your backyard shooting a lot of arrows before you go out and try to, you know, because you only get one shot, you're not going to get like 72 shots. So,
yeah. And
you know.
So mine are recurve bows, so they don't have all the fancy gadgetry as the compound bows, and for me, it's like I use a 50-pound bow strength, so I don't have to draw it all the way. So when I shoot, it's not, I don't hold it and then aim and then release. I'm aiming while I'm pulling the arrow, knocking the arrow back, and then when I gauge the distance, and then I'll release when I think it's just the right strength. And so it's, yeah, so everything, rather than, you know, breathing deep, everything's just in one smooth motion. and either hit or miss. But usually my aim is really good, up to 30 yards. But
pounds really, really heavy.
then,
That kind of,
you get used to it.
How do you guys feel about ethical hunting?
I know a little bit, but I just was gonna say I know somebody who was a Marine sniper, and he's like, yeah, I can't use a gun. It's not fair.
Yeah. Ethical hunting?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like what I mean is like you have to go out into the woods and find them, and have to like have a deer stand or a tree blind or something like that. The only reason I say that is because
wow, we can't hear. Can you talk louder? Oh, hold on. Let me
Never
mute.
mind.
Oh, sorry.
Never mind. I think it's my connection.
Okay. I mean, for me,
I don't know. I always thought it was just ethical to be very good before you went out to shoot something, you know, and that you shoot to kill it and not to ever shoot to wound it. You never take a shot that you're not sure you're going to hit, you know, or not as sure as you can be with your skill level, and you should be. And for what, yeah, exactly the way you're talking about shooting a bow, you have to be practiced to know, to be able to shoot a bow like that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's not just it's not a total. You're not doing total drawbacks every time. You're not. It's not a set. It's a set to range thing, and I can dig what you're saying.
I don't know. I mean, I've been making my own bows since I was a kid, and then I've been playing around with it. Now I actually buy my bows and like really nice bows, and it's kind of nice because I thought my aiming was bad before as a kid, but it's just because, you know, it's just not very well made bows. But now that I've got a good one, it's like, man, I'm a lot better than I was. It's because I was always using horrible bows and arrows. Or my own made ones, which were horrible. But because I wanted to learn how to make them like the Native Americans used to make them. There used to be books on how to do it at the library, so I would check them out. And it's kind of hard getting all the materials because where can you find sinew sometimes and all this other stuff? So I had to just make do without some of that stuff. But now it's so cheap to buy a bow and arrow for hunting. Welcome, Garden. Is there something you wanted to say?
No, dude. Hello, everybody. I'm just swinging in for a bit.
Oh, awesome.
Nothing specific. Like, I've never bow hunted before, but I have shot a bow quite a bit. I find it pretty relaxing.
Yeah, I like shooting bow and arrow. I could just go out all day till my fingers are just like bleeding, and you know.
You're a madman. Making your own bows and like shooting to your fingers bleed. You're crazy.
Yeah, like I wouldn't think of it because it would hurt, and then I'd be like, it's okay, I just got to get through the pain, and so I just shoot a few more, and then next thing you know, you got blisters, and like you pop them, and they're bleeding.
Have you ever seen any of the traditional like trick shot Japanese bow contests? I'll send you a couple of links. They're crazy. Some of these guys are so skilled. They get like 5 shots off in 3 seconds, and they go through, you know, the arrow shaft of the previous arrow. It's insane.
Yeah. And I always joke, maybe it just comes naturally that I'm Korean, because like one of the best Korean archers in the world is a Korean, and he's legally blind. So they ask him, so how do you shoot so accurately if you're legally blind? He goes, well, everything's a big blur, so I just aim for the center of that big blur.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, like another thing about bow hunting, though, is that you have to chase down the animal through like a swamp. I have friends that bow hunt, like, and it sounds nightmarish to me. And like half these people bait. I just don't agree with like baiting and hunting, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what's a sport in it?
I know. For me, it's stalking. I haven't really chased after anything with a bow and arrow before. The only problem is like the animals just really hear well, especially when you're out in the woods. Is like they'll hear every crack, and then there's other like birds or stuff. If they see you, they'll make their noises, and then they know that there's a stranger out, and so everything's weird. It's kind of awesome being out in the woods, even if you don't really catch anything. Just
Don't run into Hillary.
Where is
Well,
it?
you got to worry about her in the streets.
Yeah.
Well, what I found is if you go, because I don't hunt a lot, but I do take a lot of photos and I do spend a lot of time out in the wilderness. Like if you just sit in a place and you wait for the noise to come back up, wait for the birds to start, because they'll go quiet when you come around, and then you just kind of wait for the noise to come back up, and then you know that you're being reasonably quiet and unseen.
Yeah.
I remember this.
It's like fishing when you're alone. It's a very like Zen, very Buddhist thing to sit quietly in the woods and listen, because you're listening for, or you're watching your pole or whatever, and you hear the things that you don't usually hear. And especially if you get away from, like, if you're around city noise all day and you get somewhere where there isn't city noise and you're suddenly sitting there and you go, what the hell is that? And you realize that it's the lack of noise.
Yeah. And one thing that's what I do, although I haven't done it so often because I don't get that much time with kids, is hopefully when they're older, but when you go out and you're gonna go back, you kind of survey the area that you're gonna kind of hunt in. You track, basically. So you look for any type of droppings, and then you look at the types of trees or brushes that are around, what they would be eating, for the stuff where their droppings are, and then you kind of know that that's where they're gonna come back around because they know there's food there. And so you just kind of survey that area that you're gonna hunt, like for what kinds of animals come through. And then so the next day you can start early and know what types of animals are going to come through. So it's kind of like a prep work. Go out there, scout it out, and the next day, you're set up specific areas that you know where you can get them. So
Case the joint.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say this anecdote about fishing that I heard like secondhand or like indirectly, a couple steps removed, but. Like one of my friends said that like he this other guy kind of knew of was out in a boat and like came back in this local lake with all these like huge catfish back in Missouri, and so they asked him how he did it, and his anecdote, his little quip was, "You got to be more patient than a fish."
Yeah.
I have a messed up hunting anecdote. Like I was sitting at a friend's house playing some cards, and his brother comes in. He's like, "Oh, I got a bear license," because in my state you've got to get a license. It's like kind of like a lottery or something.
Yeah.
You get a bear license. Anyway, so he's like, "Come out and see my blind, guys." So we drive out there. There's a tub of milkshake mix, and like a ladder up a tree to a blind. So we're like, all right, you're going to bait a bear with milkshake mix. A couple of days later, like, we're sitting there again. He comes rushing in. It's like almost nighttime. And he's like, I got one. It's like, all right, let's go see it. So we go out to the shed, and he has his four-wheeler parked in front of the shed, right? And I'm looking. It's dark by now, and I don't see any bear or anything. I'm like, where is it, dude? He's like pointing to the four-wheeler. He's like, it's right there. We walk up to the four-wheeler. It's like a cub.
Oh,
and then he proceeds to saw its head off, and like it's a mess, it's a bloody mess all over the shed. And then he just doesn't do anything with the hide or the meat or anything. He sticks the cub's skull on this fence post, and it just rotted there for God knows how long. So that's the most fucked up hunting story I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of parts within that he did it for the wrong reasons. I think that's
oh yeah, I think that was illegal too. I think that bear was too young to kill.
Yeah.
How old was this guy?
I don't know. He was like in his early 20s, I think.
I don't know.
Completely irresponsible. I was pretty disgusted by the whole thing.
I think, I don't know. I'm not sure about anyone else. For me, it feels like if someone's not a very good humane fisherman, or like hunter, I think you hate that because you get a bad rap for being a hunter, and you're associated with bad hunters. Because that's if these stories, these news things, or what you hear on the news for hunters, you kind of hear the bad stories, but you don't hear the good stories of like humane killing, and then for it's kind of like the licenses for hunting sometimes is for population control, and so it's actually doing otherwise they're just gonna be killed by the state park rangers or whatever to keep the population low, to prevent from, like, if it's deer, like Lyme disease from spreading with all the ticks. So it feels like I don't know what they do with all those animals when they kill them for culling. Do they just put them into a big pile and burn them?
I think they cremate.
No, like
just cremate them.
When they called them, like in Philly, they would get the meat and like homeless shelters stuff.
That's kind of
they would use it somehow. They prison inmates, whatever, but it would be processed by a butcher so that it was legal and everything. But
and then they sign me up for prison, dude.
Love
venison.
Then they charge the taxpayer, charge everybody to pay for that. Still.
Oh yeah.
And I think the way they worked it was like it was a lottery. Guys came in and they filled their deer tags with it. Is what they did. They just allowed them to hunt in this area
for
where
certain.
It was just a shooting barrel kind of thing. And so, that's one of the reasons I stopped hunting, was just there were so many people out and too many people with guns, and I was. We were out and they were driving deer, and everybody was sitting. They were driving the deer towards us, or driving the woods towards us, and trying to scare things into us. And I'm sitting on this little trail edge, and there's other guys up around this cemetery and stuff. And all of a sudden, I hear. And these are people shoot 30-30s and 30-06s. It's a little bit louder than people shooting, like AR-15 or something. It's much louder. And so there's all this boom, 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 boom. And I mean, in every direction I can hear these shots coming from. And I just dug in, base of this tree, man. I could tell where basically the sounds were coming from. I dug in because at any time I was waiting for bullets to come by. So it's one of the people in our party and 3 people from some other party. This poor fucking deer ran through this open near this cemetery, and these guys just opened fire. And I mean, it was shot 8 times, and the guy that was with us got the deer because he shot last when it dropped, but best we can tell, he blew one of its horns off there. So it was, the poor deer had more bullets. I mean, it was it died it died. It was just running on adrenaline at some point because it had too many holes in it, and it was the weirdest damn thing. But that's, kind of when I say, I mean, if I could find a place where, around here, you could probably find a place where it's open enough and you're elk hunting, you'd be able to go and not be surrounded by people like that. But it was, that was whitetail deer hunting, and that was in western Pennsylvania. Same in eastern Pennsylvania. It's people know where the deer are going to be, and so
your season's pretty short, so everybody kind of gets out there.
What's that?
Your season's pretty short. It's a couple weeks. I know in Missouri, so it's people. That's why there's so many people. during rifle
Well,
season.
yeah, that too. I mean, because especially like first day of deer season. I mean, when I lived in Pennsylvania, that was a day off of school, and everybody took that week off because that was deer season. And but no, I never had any luck, and it's like I say, it's more. That's why I didn't like going out with the guys in Western Pennsylvania because they drove deer, and it was like, man, I don't want to go fucking hiking through the woods, make a bunch of noise. I just go sit somewhere. I feel better, just hanging out, sort of waiting for one to happen upon me than forcing the whole, it seemed a little bit too much like canned hunting, as it was. And little did I know that there were so many extra guns around. So that's the other thing that, it's used to love going small game hunting. That was fun. And then, and it was more walking than actually shooting anything. You'd only get a couple shots a day at best. And that was, fair enough. It's like fishing. I can go fishing and just drown worms and be perfectly happy if I know that I have a chance to catch a fish. As long as I know there are fish in there and I know I got a shot, because I know I'll catch one eventually, but it's more just to go on and sitting kind of thing than.
I used to go up to northern Ontario and fishing to, bolster my supplies a bit. And I mean, in some places you sit there forever. I mean, next to streams and stuff, it's pretty easy to get a fish after a while if the stream's halfway decent.
No, yeah, we went up Pulaski, New York, and went salmon snagging, the Atlantic salmon. They come upstream, but they don't reproduce. Somehow it's a weird deal. They lay eggs, but they don't actually spawn the eggs, so they never. It doesn't. I guess they don't keep breeding. I don't understand. Anyhow, it's a foreign breed, or maybe
probably because the rivers that they usually come in, they've dammed, so they might come through and they try to lay the eggs, but the water's still probably too salty or whatever. So I don't know.
Well, that's the other thing. I used to go to a place called the Montreal River. I think it was the Magpie Dam or something. I mean, so the Canadian equivalent of the DNR would kind of stock it, so you always knew you were going to get fish.
There you just waited for fish that were coming upstream, and we would actually walk the stream and you wore polarized glasses, and you watched for the tail, and you had this big treble hook with a lead weight in the middle of it, and you
no lead. Don't use lead.
Well, no, you use lead. You use lead on doing this. I didn't even know if it's legal anymore. It was freaking, because there were places that was like that hunting thing where they had 100 poles there trying to play things like underneath the dam, but we would just walk into like no man's zone where, but last day we were there, we sat in the truck and watched, and there was 3 sets of rapids, and you could see the tail. You could see them when they came up through, big splashing, and they'd come up through, and you get out and put on your waders. They'd come up blasting up through the second one. You take your walk down, get down there right in time to just snag into it. It's going through the rapids, and then it was like regular fishing then. But
hey, Gordon, did you ever go ice fishing on Lake St. Clair?
Yep, like when I was a little kid, I used to live in Algonac, like when I was a really little kid, and we went out a couple of times, like right there, like right off of Harson's Island, if you know where that is.
Yep.
Like, and we'd go out and go to Wapu Island and go through the channels and stuff. Like way over by Wapu Island, if you go back in the swamps on a boat, there is a very old ship that is sunk back there. Like, I mean, it's old school looking. like 1800s or something like that. My dad would tell me, "Oh, it's a pirate ship," and that was bullshit. But like, I don't remember all the history of it. But you know, he told me some bullshit story, anyways. But yeah, it's cool. Like, I'm surprised no one ever retrieved it or investigated it or anything.
Was it the Gordon Lightfoot? God, I'm old. I just barely remember this.
The Edmund Fitzgerald
wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah, was it that
Oh God, that's such a.
No, that's actually north of where I live. That's up by Grand Marais.
Okay.
I like that. I like that song, but yeah, but it's still it's one of those. It's one of those songs.
Yeah.
I think Kevin was trying to say something.
Oh yeah, saying I have a funny fishing story. Have you guys ever seen a beaver dam?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Well, they block it up, and then one side gets flooded, and a bunch of fish get into there. Well, have you ever been there when they've blown it up?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Nope.
Well, they'll break it, so they'll start flooding out. Well, they don't all the way. They start the water and destroy a bunch of shit. So they blow a chunk of it and let it clean off. And basically, easiest you'll ever have, because the fish keep getting tighter and tighter together. So all you have to do is throw an empty hook on there, and you can pull a fish out.
Jeez.
The pond just keeps getting smaller and smaller on them. Well, original breed, so they kind of got there. They have been hurt.
Kind of broke up at the end. We kind of missed.
That was fun for me, fishing at a beaver dam like that, though. I mean, you can't. I literally caught. There was a shit ton of bluegills. It was literally like a stringer, like 6 foot long, just completely filled with them. I couldn't even kill them either. Well, I never did. A ridiculous amount. You know, it's 20 or 30 pounds. But that's just something fun. If you know the right spots in the woods, you can find a bunch of neat stuff. Especially if you've known where they've blown out stuff, or you know, it just probably with just in those woods, you know, just really
Yeah, like for me, like if I always hate reading about when when settlers came to America and they see all the lakes, and it's just kind of, you know, fish are just flying over the water because there's just so much fish in the water and so populated, and now it's so not, because that was probably the main staple for a lot of tribes. And the easiest way to catch fish is just put out a gill net, and gill net is probably illegal in pretty much every state for recreational fishing, because you just put out a gill net and a fish will if you know how to put it on like a location to put the gill net in, you'll just catch fish pretty much all day. It'll tangle itself into it, and then you just go in, get the gill net and a couple of fish that's been on it. You don't need any bait or anything.
Well, if you're native in Michigan, at least, like, you can gill net. Like, you can spearfish, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, you can in Washington State. That's the tribes use that. A lot of the guys in the tribes use that for, you know, they smoke fish, and that's like their way of living too, you know. And so that's cool. All right, I got it. This is one from my childhood, you know. And I was asking Stevie at one time about those quarter sticks that we had when we were kids. Oh, you were out there. We're probably like 13 years old. We go down into this creek, and there was all these sucker fish and stuff there, and we decide we're going to take this thing, so we get a jar of rocks. We didn't realize that a fuse on them was waterproof, but we could have just done it with a rock, tied it to a rock, and it would have went off. So we get this jar of rocks, and the three of us with this glass jar full of little pebbles, and this thing that goes boom really loud. Just concocted this really ugly grenade that we were young and stupid. So three of us are standing. One guy's holding it, one guy's holding the lid, and one guy is lighting and dropping the thing in. So it's all like in one quick motion, it gets closed up, and drop it in, and then everybody ran out of the water, and there's this big old whoof, and all these fish come floating up, all these sucker fish. and for the life of me, it's one of those things, one of those Darwin Award things, that we didn't kill ourselves or have a fast fuse, because it would have killed 7 of us, because there was, more than just the guys in the water. Of course, there was like 4 guys going, "Go ahead, guys, go ahead," And I can't remember if I smoked, so I always had a lighter. So I think I lit the thing, but everybody else, it was like a 4-man operation or a 3-man operation. It was as convoluted as hell. And it was basically for the same thing that we do, the same express purpose. It was just to blow up a bunch of suckerfish, was what it was, trying to do. It was basically what we were trying to do as young kids. It was you survive through things, and you look back on them and you go, yeah, I'm glad that I got through that one.
You have some stories, don't you?
Well, I mean, that's the thing about like living at the end of actual reality. I mean, that's what I always tell my kids, is I grew up at the very end of actual reality, because it was right at the beginning of video games and everything else. And before then, we went outside and did stupid things, you know? And so we always had sort of that dumbass streak in us, and it was always somebody saying, the famous last words, "Hey, watch this," and somebody jumps over the edge, climbs way up a tree, and they would jump off of it and hold on to the top of it and parachute down, and that was one I was a little itchy about. I'd done the trying to cross from tree to tree and fell like 30 feet through an old pine and broke all the limbs on the way down and landed. It was when I was a little kid. So I knew better than to play them tree games. I knew that I'd get hurt on one of them, but I saw people do some insane shit.
In the Northwest, there's just so much like wooded areas and kind of swampy areas. So I remember me and my friends would go like make trails, get out to the little marshy. It's like really tepid water. Like you'll see a lot of like salamanders, I think.
Yeah. And
a couple of other things, but it's like you don't want to get in that water. But we would try to cross it with all the downed logs that's been down over the ages, and and it gets real slippery at spots. So like one of the friends would fall and they would get all drenched, and we'd have to get him out of there, and then he'd go home. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I remember just like the town I was in, it was just starting to get really big to be like a city, and basically my goal would be to get into the woods and try to do it so I couldn't see any cars passing, just the furthest away light or any type of like so I couldn't hear anything but the woods. But it was getting harder and harder when I was like 14, 15 to get that far into the woods, just so you couldn't really hear anybody.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I live up here. Like, I don't really like it up here in a lot of ways where I live now, but one thing I do like about it is the fact that I can drive like 10 minutes and I'll be off, like away from everything.
Wait, where are you now?
Right now, like I'm right at the tip of the mitt in northern Michigan, up by
Oh.
the city.
Okay. Okay.
So all I have to do is cross the bridge, and I'm in the Upper Peninsula. Or if I drive 50 more miles, I'm in Canada. So.
Oh wow. Cool. We'll be up that way in August. I love going up there in August because it's not so hot like down here.
Yeah, check out. Have you been to the Sleeping Bear Dunes in Empire?
We're going to be right near there. My aunt and uncle.
Go to the Sleeping Bear Dunes, and there is a dune at the very top of it, and it's got what's called a ghost forest in it, which basically, like over the centuries, sand blew in and it buried a forest, right? And now as the sand blows away, the forest is revealed. So it's all these bone white, like logs. Wow. It's really cool. It's really worth checking out.
Wow.
You're in North Carolina. You get the permit. You get the yearly permit, and you can go down and stay over. If you got like a 4-wheel drive, you could stay overnight on Aztec Island. Just long, you go and you stop. They have air. Well, it used to be they had air stations there. You could let air out of your tires and drive out onto the beach and go out and park and fish all night, and we'd go fish. Our bait and stuff would have washed up like 100 yards down the shore. We'd be sitting there asleep with beers in our hands, but we'd be actively fishing. Yeah, but it was a nice way. It was also just it would be a really cool family getaway, because it's like when you get there isn't really that. Well, wasn't back then. There wasn't that many people there that because they didn't give out very many permits, and so you could just be sort of alone on the beach, and the wild horses would be there. Yeah, it's a kick. If we
haven't gone to the North Carolina coast that much because we were always heading up north to Michigan in the summertime. So this is not something we've done. But now that my grandparents aren't here, we're going to go see my uncle, but it's such a long way. We may not keep doing it. But anyway, I was going to tell my outside story. You guys might find this funny. So believe it or not, I was a big tomboy growing up, and I was always outside. And we like to build tree houses, and you should get a kick out of this. This was actually a subdivision, like kind of outside of Atlanta a ways. And so it was largely wooded, but they were building new homes. And I'm thinking I was 12 or probably 13. So I'm building this tree house, mind you. Pretty much I'm the general contractor, okay? So I'm in charge of building this tree house. And my younger sister, who was like 4 years younger, and her friends, we would send them off. They would come back with wood and stuff. And we at first, I didn't really know where it was coming from. And there was a lot of scrap wood around from houses that were being built. They come to find out they were actually getting stuff from that they were using for the houses. So we built this monstrosity. And finally, she even brings rolls of carpet. And so we had lined the whole inside of the tree house. We insulated it with carpet, all kinds of stuff, until my mother got a letter from the HOA that we had to tear it down. And I think they figured out kids were raiding the construction sites for material. So anyway, it wasn't me, it was my sister.
Oh my God, that used to be a huge problem here. People used to have, I know one of my friends was trying to move into this trailer, and she tried it was 3 or 4 different times that these people would come up and steal all the copper out of her trailer. And so she had to keep redoing the electric one, and finally she just gave up on it.
Hasn't that been in the last decade? It's just they sell it, right? The copper. It's
yeah. See, I did that for a while, but now the prices on it have dropped so low that you have to bring in a ton of it in order to make any kind of money.
It's not even worth selling. You're better off just hanging on to it till the price goes back up.
Can't hear you, Kevin.
I said it's not even worth selling it. It's better hanging on to it until the price goes back up, or use it yourself.
Or you could just steal some meat. Like a...
For the copper. For the copper.
Yeah. I've been hanging on to my copper. I don't bother with anything else anymore, but I still scrap copper, and I'm just waiting to see if it goes back up.
I mean, what's the point throwing it away? If you got like a microwave or some junk you throw away, you just take out the copper and throw it in a bin. You know, it's like, what's the point of throwing away metal?
Yeah, I kind of feel like
get money off it easy.
Yeah, I kind of feel like a bum because I'm like, hey, you gonna use that copper? Can I get some of that? But you know what? I mean, like it's easy extra money, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. We used to get beer money on those clone homes. We'd go around and we'd pick up after the laborers after work. We'd spend an hour or two just walking around picking up the drop-offs, and we'd throw them in a box, and we'd scrap them. That'd give us enough for a couple cases of beer, you know, and that was back when you could get some for copper. I knew a guy who was labor, you know, was usually like labor foreman. He had an entire 50-gallon drum full that he took in at one time at some point, you know, that he just taken it every day and picked it up, stuck it in his pocket. And
well, here in Michigan, they've got the 10-cent deposit on cans. So it's like, that's what people do. Like, there isn't so much of the metal stripping. Like, I've lived out west.
Yeah, you won't really.
And, like, you see, it's rampant out there. But the can return program is one of the best programs I've ever seen, man. Every state should have it.
Yeah, there was a guy here that he was known as the Can Man, and he used to go and turn that stuff in. And I tried it once, but they didn't actually give me 10 cents per can. It was actually like, I took in like 2 giant bags of cans, and I got like $2.50 for it, maybe. I mean, it wasn't even enough to cover the gas to get there.
Yeah, it was
well,
maybe
it keeps garbage from being on the road all the time. You know, like in other states, cans are all over the place. Here, it's pretty clean as far as that goes.
All those Verner's cans, right?
Yeah, Verner's. When I was living in Phoenix, right, I would go hiking in the canyons. And way back in the canyons, like along this road, there was this crappy store. And it had a vending machine out in front of it. And it had Verner's in it. And I was like, what is a Verner's, like, vending machine doing way out here?
Yeah, that's odd. Huh. Hey, you guys, I'm going to go in a sec. I just wanted to ask, was everything okay? There was like 5 minutes. I couldn't get my daughter to stop talking. I was like, I left these guys on the couch, and they're on my live stream. And I didn't realize that Greg had started chatting as me on the chat. But was everything okay? Like, I missed part of what was going on.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It was great having him.
Okay, yeah. Greg, the younger guy especially, he is super passionate about everything. Maybe you could tell. So I think he'll probably come on and talk.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, yeah, I'm kind of I'm still having the dilemma about the whole draft Bernie thing. But I think it's a lot of just going to be a wait and see of where things go, you know. Like, I missed what you guys said about Nina Turner, too. I'll catch up. I'll go back and watch.
Yeah, I keep meaning to, like, I know they do that call every Thursday. I keep meaning to get on there and talk to them, but I don't know. I always end up forgetting, and plus with everything we're doing on here, and it's just chaos, you know?
I worry about even that it has Bernie in the name at this point, but we'll see what happens. You know, I think a lot's going to shake out over the next year or two, I guess.
Most of it might just be kind of like the bubble. Like, I don't know. I think most people still really love Bernie. It's just kind of like here. It's just, you know, we're very wary and critical. You know, I mean, like, we see the warning signs.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off. We're heading to Asheville tomorrow.
Might be a good time to sign off too.
Have fun.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, bye, everybody. Have a good night. Love
It's
you
been
all.
3 hours. Good night, everybody. Thanks, everyone in the chat.
Bye.
Have a good 4th of July weekend, guys.
All right, y'all. Stay safe, okay?
Will do. Everyone stay safe.
Yeah.